Hello my dear watchers, it is I, the saintly Marionic90, here to bring you yet another message about love and understanding to brighten your day. Nah, fuck that! How about I take a shit on something terrible and rant about stuff that was near and dear till some Hollywood bloke decided to crap all over it.
And the masters of the...
Yeah, okay, so, little history lesson incoming. He-Man and Masters of the Universe was one of the most famous and influential toy lines of the 80s, which has then lived on in form of Wario's, cartoons, comics and even movie adaptations, still enjoying relatively good fame about 40 years later. And come on, I don't need to explain more of the premise. You know it, good versus evil, magic castle that allows you to rule the universe, fantasy planet with science fiction elements, yada yada yada, good shit. After the premature cancellation of Masters of the Universe's animated outing in 2002, the series went close to 20 years without animated appearances, despite many other 80s-tastic brands receiving a show or a crappy movie adaptation every 2 years or so. In 2020, however, many fans were excited to hear that new reboot of Masters of the Universe cartoon was in the works as a Netflix original series, which would feature amazing anime-style heavy metal-inspired animation, done by the crew behind the excellent Castlevania series. This was great news, and it only got more interesting as more info was released. The show was to feature all-star cast of voice actors and be direct continuation to Filmation cartoon of the 80s, arguably one of, if not the most beloved and well-known version of the series. But soon, the fans noticed that something was amiss. Not only was the show set to be directed by Kevin Smith, known for producing good content in equal amount as producing shit, but certain leaks about the show's plot raised, some mild skepticism. Apparently, Sirius's long-standing main hero, cultural icon, and famed beater of Superman's ass, He-Man, was not to be the main character, but sidelined in favor of more, let's say, diverse characters, among them Teela, another fan favorite, but one who was not the main character by any means. Many disregarded these rumors as fake news. Surely Masters of the Universe's return wouldn't be a letdown. After all, it's like Kevin said, there has been no He-Man media since 80s, so fans will and must be given what they yearn for. This was the aptly named Masters of the Universe Revelation, as like its original namesake, written by John the Apostle, it is also politically charged, controversial, and in some circles it is seen as symbolism of how certain oppressive systems attempt to destroy the prior works of the religious fans.
Basically, it's a microcosm of everything bad and wrong with modern entertainment.
Halfway through, I'm like, is it over yet?
Masters of the Universe Revelations is a confusing mess and just recently stabbed me through my kidneys.
If you're gonna judge it on its own merit, it is horrendously bad. Like garbage, top tier level garbage. This is like one of the worst shows that has been made in recent memory.
Kevin Smith was obviously high when he pitched this. I think everybody in that room was smoking something.
So obviously it was fucking garbage, everyone hated it, said it betrayed all their goodwill and that it ruined everything. The collective negative energy of the fandom gave rise to 7 evil dragons, all the joy and light in the world was gone, and how could have been so foolish? Another nostalgic thing got crapped on, god damn it. You know, I kinda hold this franchise to a higher standard than I'd say most of the people on this rock. I love He-Man and Masters of the Universe. Since my childhood, I've always enjoyed the many versions of the stories and characters, and I'll never stop. Like, I'm the next level Masters nerd. You don't even know how deep into the He-Man iceberg I am. I may not have been here since the beginning, but I've seen it all. Vikor and Wundar or early He-Man concepts, Emilio Sancta Lucia's plans for 2002's comic line before its cancellation, Filmation origins for Beastman and Evil-Lyn, canned live-action sequels and reboots, connections to DC's cosmology, cancelled hero toy lines, both of them. I've seen it all. So, by all accounts,
My pain is still far greater than yours!
Still, why is the title for this overly long video that only insubstantial amount of people will watch not impressed and not everything everywhere is ruined and smells like stink or poop? Well, Say anything you want about Scott Natelick, the dude has a point. Revelation is just one version of the story. There is, in my mind, always room for new interpretations and differing takes. And while you've got the right to say using the multiverse argument to separate pieces that intrinsically belong to same franchise is a cop-out and free ticket for writers to go all Wild West on what they can do with their adaptations, I see that the street goes two ways. Always adhering to canon and producing shit that has to fit in with previous ideas can be creatively limiting, not to mention excess, as you more often than not just end up exploring and repeating the same ideas that you probably would avoid if starting conditions were suddenly different. Just look at the superhero comics doing the same shit to death till they reboot to do it all over again. And most importantly, some stories just don't need to continue and are well enough on their own, so if you still want to use same world and characters, why not start over and be different as to not take anything away from the original that may or may not have had well-deserved conclusion. It's not like great works haven't come from this. Just take a look at DC's Kingdom Come, universally beloved book, story of which would never work in main continuity. Heck, Masters fan works like Future Imperfect are basically embodiments of breaking the mold. So it's not like I want the show to be exactly the same as things we've already seen. It's okay to be gay, as long as it's good. Either all, Masters of the Universe cartoon from the 80s didn't really need a sequel, and as I'll soon explain, this show is not that, but a separate thing, like many have already understood. I will mostly judge Revelation as its own thing anyway, though I will dabble into other Masters media for comparisons, and the behind-the-scenes stuff pretty much mandates that. My god, what a long intro. Let's just finally start talking about the show. How does it fare some 2 or 3 years after release? Maybe you have heard all of this before. I'm late to the party as always. I don't know, I just felt like talking finally.
It's like one of my Japanese animes.
Not gonna spend too much time on this section, since I have less to say about it, and more about writing related things. But what I do wanna say is still important. After all, this is a visual medium we are talking about, so it needs great art design and direction as much as Hollywood needs a decent writer. So, to put it simply,
It's beautiful.
great reimaginings of original toyline designs. All the characters look great. Not immensely original, but still. He-Man himself is hot as fuck. Like, holy Orko, this has gotta be the best design outside the original toyline. It's like the 80s and 2000s show had a baby together and replaced the Iron Cross with much better looking H symbol. Love it. The others, well, I could make this video another hour longer, so here's some cliff notes. I like the classic inspired looks, though Merman is from 2000s. I don't know what the fuck's up with Evelyn. Scalar Skull can make facial expressions like it's consistent, and the environments look cool and new, yet retain that familiar Masters aesthetic. But this is just one half of the package. Immediately when I saw the time skip designs, I went, oh. I mean, we already had great designs, and then these.
Welcome to parenting in 2015. They're all trans.
Why waste new cool designs in favor of gorilla arms? I know it's for story reasons. Years have passed, and change has occurred. Off screen. But like, what are these? Sure, the world's fucked. People have to make do with what they got. But I don't know. Even series with post-apocalypses have allowed for more interesting and fun-looking designs, despite being practical. Many call this gender politics statement, seeing as to how the redesigns are overly masculine, unappealing looking, and mainly applied to female cast, seeing to how women in Western media can't be seen as attractive anymore. It's not working on me though. I just think the outfits are meh.
Ew, those old designs were created with male gaze and make our female characters look as sexy as our male cast. Objectify women. We can't use those. Get away, get away.
But who really knows? Maybe the storytelling justifies it. Let's not judge Kevin and other creators of social justice in some message here. We have time. How about we talk about voice casting instead? We have a boatload of A-listers, so surely it's at least amazing? It's a mixed bag overall. While the voices are more or less in keeping with the characterization, no one really gives out outstanding performance. Maybe it's the bullshit that everyone's forced to say, but there's also a few voices that I just straight up dislike. Call it a personal preference or something, but there's like 3 sore thumbs in this cast. Orko, Cringer, and fucking Mark Hamill as Skeletor. Yes, you heard me. Orko is not in keeping with his usual voice, and Griffin Newman makes him sound like some downer American mascot character, while Cringer is about as far from the original characterization as possible, for no reason. And Mark Hamill as Skeletor, the Overlord of Destruction, arguably one of the greatest villains of all time, is...
You are overwhelmed. So call him Thormonger. Call your champion.
I am the true King of Eternia, Lord Nice Face.
Look, I'll be honest, his Skeletor is okay in parts, but mostly sounds horrendous. We love you, Mark, you're a great guy, no hard feelings for being part of the show and not giving out single meme-worthy criticism like with TLJ, but god damn it, you're getting way too old to do this non-stop for 50 years. I'm sure the production team asked him to channel his iconic Joker voice for this, but he manages to have more in common with the asthmatic Joker from Arkham City, when a voice like that doesn't fit Skeletor to begin with, though adaptations have always changed his voice, because we as a species need to desperately break something that wasn't broken. Some of these actors are also totally wasted. We have Alan Oppenheimer, Phil Lamar, and Kevin Conroy, maybe saying 2 or 3 sentences each. Wow, way to misspend your resources. But hey, it wasn't the actor's fault. I mean, no offense to them, at least. Animation. You know, I used to be proud of the fact that I came up with the idea of Castlevania show's animators working on He-Man show way before this was ever a thing, like from the moment those amazing battle scenes started in that show. Even when I started to hear those icky, fact-based rumors, I was confident that even if the plot was gonna be shit, at the very least the action would be awesome sauce, and boy was I fucking mistaken. For the majority of the time, the animation is alright, but sometimes it's noticeably this modern pause for a talk bullcrap, and the fight scenes are ass. Like, bruh, where's the rawness, the impact, the creative use of tools at your disposal that we saw in every episode of Castlevania? The choreography is not bad per se, but the fights and set pieces aren't terribly interesting. Sometimes things just kinda happen out of nowhere, like these random shadow beasts people got to fight for half an episode and Roboto just unibeams them. All the magic users are doing these avatar bending moves, which I guess look cool, but utterly lacking substance. There's also a number of really bad edits. It's really noticeable. There are a couple of scenes I like, such as Savage He-Man and Skeletor's dumb anime fight. That was leagues above any other action scene, and the first He-Man vs Skeletor battle, albeit short, is also kinda fun. Clearly the animation budget meant for the background extras didn't reach the animation team in time, because every crowd shot just ends up looking weirdly fake? Also, what's with these furries running amok in all the crowds? I mean, they're not even good furries, but these shitty cosplay furbags? I'm not shaming anyone or anything, but these beings really don't fit with the show's other designs, or masters in general. We've had furries in the past, but I can't even distinguish if these antler heads are meant to be fairly squatty cat people or not. So I'm just sitting here wondering what made the art team put these insignificant details into the background. Maybe to diversify Eternia's fantasy races? But if so, why make up new ones when cool and interesting looking races like Mintora or Widgets are not featured? Like a little representation of those marginalized minorities would be nice. Yeah, crackheads. Speaking of crack, the original 80s Masters show had killer OST, so how does the soundtrack feel in Revelation? Was there even music in the show? I'm trying to remember even a single one, but can't. I mean, it's not horrendous enough to have imprinted in my memory or anything, but this is Masters of the Universe, where epic music and iconic theme songs should be standard. How do you fuck that up? But all of this could be excused if the story these half-baked aesthetics were used for was amazing. But the story is the main reason for this video's title.
Not every story has to have significance, you know? Sometimes a story is just a story.
Before I begin, please hear these messages. Spoilers. Masters of the Universe, Revenge of the Fall, Revelation starts like any Masters show would, with opening narration showing some decent artwork. Eternos City, capital of Eternia's kingdom, is having a party. Teela's coronation ceremony, as a matter of fact, which we learn in semi-bad exposition. She's becoming the new man-at-arms. Weird, Teela has never any continuity, nor in this shown to be especially good with machines. I mean, I guess it kind of varies what man-at-arms as a title means, but in this continuity it seems to be highest ranked soldier, and something to do with weapon knowledge? So, I don't know. Anyways, a scene of king, queen, man-at-arms, Orko, and everybody celebrating is clearly meant to evoke that 80s jokey Masters of the Universe tone, Cringer especially in character for the last time in the show, so all is great. Then they ruin it by talking.
Man-at-Arms is feeling manny emotions.
Forgetting you is the thing that I cannot do.
We soon cut to Castle Grayskull, where He-Man is toiling away two of Skeletor's minions. Wait, what? Why? Is he bringing them here to be executed? We know it's a trick by Skeletor, but I mean, he thinks He-Man would be bringing two villains to Castle Grayskull? Why'd he have a cloak? This all being fake is indicated by Prince Adam appearing to save Cringer from Orko almost murdering him.
I have the power.
The humorous quality can only go up from here, right? Adam congratulates Teela playfully, so she retaliates. Many would say women are too confrontational in media these days, for men just pranking, but these are Teela and Adam we are talking about. Teela's constantly kicking Adam's ass, that baka. This is just normal tomfoolery, all in good humor. However, even wholesome moments like this can be interpreted through a negative lens when more context is shown, though we must thank this moment for creating this provocative image template for memes.
After years of defending the realm, I have finally shown everybody that this little orphan girl is man-at-arms material.
Well, you never had to prove it to me.
This bit always felt a bit weird to me. Teela was never one that needed to prove herself. Like, that is not a thing. Adam, on the other hand... Look, I'm assuming you guys have at least basic knowledge of 80s and 2000s Masters of the Universe shows. I'm not explaining everything. Also, she calls herself an orphan, when in this show Man-at-Arms is like 100% confirmed to be her real dad. What? My god, I just noticed how big everyone's eyebrows are. Let's cut to the chase. He-Man and the minions at Grayskull are Skeletor, Evelyn, and Faker in disguise. Sorcerers falling for Faker's disguise. Yeah, it's not like we wanted authentic-looking Faker in animation since it was teased 2 times. Why bother disguising yourself with shaping staff if Faker's here, and why become your underlings? Why not just become friends? So Sorceress, instead of doing her job of protecting Grayskull, hovers behind a magical wall that she can't apparently leave. What the f***? Do something. Fight, or at least activate Grayskull's defenses that are strangely missing in this version. I guess we have only 20 minutes before cliffhanger, so it would be inconvenient if logic interfered. Sorceress in this show is useless, till the absolute last moment. This time, old Skeletor's invasion will be different. He's finally realized what he was after all these years. It was not the castle, but stuff inside the castle. Bruh. Hey, Beastman! Wait, why is he piloting Bashhasaur? That vehicle belongs to good guys. What, didn't any of the bad guy land vehicles render in ugly CGI? Never mind, they all look bad. Back at the castle, the unaware heroes are concluding the ceremony.
He's beaming with pride today.
That's parental pride, Adam. Something I hope I can feel one day, as your father.
Wait, stop! Jesus, dude, what's the matter with you, Randor? Sure, Adam is disappointment due to his double life, but that's no reason to be such a dick.
I hereby dub you Man.
Sorceress contacts Adam, telling off the attack on Grayskull, and everyone goes. Naturally, Adam decides to transform in the Great Hall, where there's better chance of someone spotting him. The transformation is glorious, little bit too magical girl-like, but hey, that's He-Man for you. And he rides to the battle through animation shortcut. And so, Masters of the Universe come to meet Skeletor's forces in full battle to defend Grayskull. Look at them. The minions were like Dynasty warrioring, waiting He-Man to do a combo to take him out, lol. Inside, Man-at-Arms decides to fight a horse, clearly the most mega threat on the premises, while He-Man and Teela go after the bad guys. Why does Evil Lynn keep not using her invisibility? She just reveals herself every time she does one successful move. Suddenly, for no reason, Mossman just appears from nowhere to help in the fight. Despite being made a big deal in promotional material, Skeletor just incinerates him. He's dead. No, I don't know either how you kill literal god of plants. Strangely, Eternia's nature doesn't care in the slightest, so I guess in this show, Mossman was just unnaturally hairy man. He-Man, by the way, allows this. He doesn't use the sword or his powers to conjure wind nor nothing. Nah, let the sucker burn.
You can't tend the garden without pulling a few weeds. No! I'll kill you!
Oh, I guess not. I guess death of Mossman of all people is enough to send He-Man into murderous rage. Look, they really don't specify if He-Man kills in this continuity or not, but judging by how Skeletor is alive after
all these years,
I'ma say that this moment in Kevin's mind is supposed to be the big over-the-edge point for He-Man, and I don't buy it. Not for Mossman, though. Even if he's his best friend in this continuity, which we never see, so his death is robbed of all weight. I just don't buy it. Not for any prior continuity, not even for this one. Maybe if it was someone truly close to him, like Teela or Sorceress, maybe that would do it. But f*** this.
You should have gone for the head.
So yeah. That was Skeletor's brilliant scheme. Somehow get He-Man to use his sword to open the lock to Orb of Power. How did he know it worked like that? How did he know there even was a keyhole? The utterly trashy prequel comic doesn't show this either, and assuming that old gay Scully knew, boy, it was lucky Mossman was there to get bodied, and that He-Man pushed him to that exact spot, or that would have never happened like that. By the way, it's He-Man's job to keep this lump of rock safe, so why he was not informed that his sword was key is beyond me.
And to greedily protect their prize, the Elders created the illusion of Castle Grayskull to conceal the majestic Hall of Wisdom.
What an absolutely brilliant plot twist. Grayskull was secretly Hall of Wisdom all along. What? Kind of cheapens Castle Grayskull as the series' epic stable. Lol, it never existed. Hall of Wisdom, you know, that old ruin is the real deal. Why? It adds nothing. Also, what a shitty concealment, considering everyone seems to know Grayskull is important in this continuity. So what's the point? Also, gotta hand it to Skeletor. After one of the top 5 dumbest plans, he gets into Grayskull. I guess he didn't think stupid enough all those years. I guess Man-at-Arms is still punching that horse, despite lasers that one-hit kill robots. So Skeletor decides to take the power, while He-Man and Teela stand there dumbfounded in stopping distance. He decides to do this by hitting it really hard, which makes everything go wonky. This was the point for He-Man to say, hey, what's going on, more than anything, but I digress.
I'm holding back time. We have to hurry.
Glad you decided to do that now, and not after you were put 6 feet under. Could have been useful, since you choose who it affects, prevented the whole plot from happening.
By cracking the orb, Skeletor has released the very magical power that created Eternia and the entire universe. So when this moment unfreezes, we'll only have seconds before all of existence comes to an end.
Is this the same Skeletor who always made plans so he could secure shit like this?
What if I called on the power of Grayskull while I'm already in this form, and used the sword like a conduit to contain the blast?
That much magical energy will kill anybody, even you.
If I don't do this, everybody dies.
Now this is great stuff. Without a moment of hesitation, He-Man, Prince Adam, is ready to sacrifice himself to save everyone else, using the vast power he has, for sake of others, for kindness. Ultimate lesson of this character, in a way, this moment will define his character for the rest of the show. He is a hero. It is his duty Too bad the show rarely if ever acknowledges this. As the Sword of Power is destroyed, He-Man and Battle-Cat revert back to their normal forms. Skeletor tries one final time to claim the power, now coursing through the two halves of Sword of Power, referencing the OG continuity. Adam gives Teela one final look before he is consumed by the power, in explosion so big that everyone in the room should have died, not just him and Skelly. Shocked, Teela can barely process what she saw, and we return to Eternus. So, first episode and main villain and hero are gone and dead. A lot of people immediately cried out,
I thought it was gonna be He-Man!
Which sounds a little bit childish, but I have to agree. I kinda wanted to see He-Man in show about him, and he features in about 2 fucking episodes in beginning and end. Yeah, that's right. Rest of his appearances are in hardly story-related flashbacks or illusions, and when he becomes the Incredible Hunk for like 2 episodes. Oh yeah, that's common. But we know he's not really dead. He's the main character. He's probably off on some another dimension. That's how these stories work, right? Right? Man-at-Arms breaks the sad news to King and Queen Marlena reveals she's always known Adam's secret, which Randor doesn't take lightly. But Teela, having witnessed all of this and hearing that her dad knew, decides that the only rational thing to do is to flip out and tear apart her gaming pads. She raves and rants how she herself specifically has been lied to by everyone, flames everyone, and quits her job, unable to believe in anything anymore. Like, wow! Way to insult and throw a fit on people who just lost their child. That is messed up. This act irrevocably damages her for many going forward, and for good reason. Yes, Teela, Santa Claus is not real. Everyone lied to you, but have you asked yourself why? Obviously the secret had to be kept a secret, or Skeletor or any number of villains would have murdered Adam in his sleep, or taken advantage of his family, or any number of disasters could have happened. Less know the better. If you hadn't noticed, Eternia needs this guy alive.
I have laid my life on the line for every one of you, but you're all a pack of liars. And Adam was no different.
What is a He-Man? A fabulous pile of secrets. Not that Randor reacts to this any better. He screams at his oldest friend irrationally, but I can at least understand that he views Man-at-Arms responsible for Adam's death, having presumably been charged with his safety, yet allowed him to go and perish in battle, but threatening him with execution? Yeesh. Anyway, Teela concludes her insane self-centered tirade and quits, walking away from the palace. Look at them. Everything's just background noise, lol. We end the first episode there. This stuff had potential. Could have been fixed easily. Eternia learning off and mourning death of He-Man and having to fight threats without him around, seeing how the trauma affects everybody, would have been excellent stage for some drama. Lois Lane and everybody knowing that Superman is Clark Kent and how everyone deals with that. Now that's a story. But what do we get? Literally none of these ideas are ever explored. We begin the next episode with 2 hooded figures, soon revealed to be our main duo for the next few episodes. Teela, for some reason, has become a bounty hunter for money. My guess is that she got the muscles from being out of the active combat duty for so long. She's partnered with Andra, loosely based on character that appeared in Marvel's Masters of the Universe comics. I say loosely because all she has in common with Lieutenant character is her name. Turns out they're retrieving a magical artifact stolen by one of Skeletor's former warriors. They beat a poor homeless Stinkor. And just like that, we are moved on. Wow, what a jobber. Remember when Stinkor was world-ending villain who could make everyone die from bad smell alone? Good times. Hey, and what do you know? Like Mossman, he was made big deal in marketing too. We cut to them receiving payment in some kind of church, where we are treated with another piece of exposition.
What would Stinkor want with it?
Magical relics are at a premium, because magic has abandoned Eternia.
So, it's been a year or 2, and Teela didn't already know this? Also, huge problem with magic dying. The Orb of Power is origin and source of all magic, I get that, but the thing's not destroyed. We later learn that the power was absorbed into the sword halves that were placed into afterlives for some reason. Do they just have a shitty Wi-Fi connection over there or what? Teela has seemingly completely abandoned her old moral compass, referring to everything remotely Masters of the Universe-like as her old life. Look, she didn't fight for the sake of good and order because of some terms of agreement, but because it was fucking right. But now, suddenly, she doesn't care of other people's problems, and sneers at the idea of anyone doing anything to make the world a better place. Just because she was lied about one thing? Maybe if she had been lied to about her whole reason of defending Eternia, or about the foundations of her whole identity or some shit, maybe then I'd see why she'd question her previous mentality. But come the fuck on! Her closest friends keeping one guy's secret? Like wow, way to be defined by the men in your life. They meet an old woman who, if you know anything about Masters of the Universe, is obviously evil in disguise. She hires them to steal a goblet from Snake Mountain. Naturally, Teela doesn't question why it's there in the first place. We flash back to a happier time, a simpler time, when Teela and He-Man still looked like themselves. And I honestly wonder what the fuck is the point. Sure, to show that Teela has broken into Snake Mountain in the past, but why this part exactly? Teela doesn't seem to be specifically remembering anything useful, also in what version can't she just jump that high? These flashbacks are pretty useless and hardly have any bearing on the plot. Guess they are made so some can pretend that He-Man is in this show? They basically Minecraft their way into the mountain. And stealthy as Solid Snake. Seriously, nobody heard that? Snake Mountain has seen a massive facelift with technology decorating its walls. Shallow internet video essayists looking for depth might conclude that technology overtaking dying magic is a big theme in this show. As if team equals good. But this is never really explored. Only episode to touch on this concept is really, well, this one. It seems that Triclops and some leftover evil warriors run a strange cyborg cult that intends to replace parts of people's bodies with cybernetics, so they can, magic. I guess the ending explains what they're doing here, or not.
Nanomachines, son! They harden in response to physical trauma.
Why do everyone get a different prothesis from the same source? Yeah, buzzsaws are gonna help you too. I don't know what the problem is.
We have made the long pilgrimage in hope of finding a new way, a better way.
Teela immediately reasons that the cop Dr. Klops is using is the one they're looking for. How does she know that? Evil Lynn literally never described the thing. Teela reveals herself to distract the fuckers so Andra can take it, since they can't apparently wait till everyone's left. Everyone fights, Triclops talks about how Skeletor's failures teach them to rely on technology, and for a single second I see a glimpse of better show. Evil warriors in different factions, having power struggles, trying to establish themselves as the next big bad and conquering territories of their own. That could be a neat concept, but instead we get breadcrumbs on what few key characters are even fucking doing, and the rest are magic failed, so believe in technology, which is hilarious since Skeletor was using technology to get into Grayskull in his last plan. Anyway, the cult attacks Teela, and she uses her folding sword, straight out of Dishonor, to maim the downtrodden people who came to the cult as a last resort. Wait a minute, Andra was supposed to sneak the goblet while Teela fought all of these f***s, and she's done nothing? I guess Triclops doesn't have eye-beams in this continuity, since he just flails around uselessly. Yay, we have Blast Attack in animation finally. Shit toy, awesome idea. For obvious touchy reasons, 2002 really didn't want Suicide Bomber into their cartoon, but here he is free to explode to his heart's content. Well, it looked like it had potential. So they escaped the army of Javas by pitting Sleeping Kraken against them. That Snake Mountain has swimming under it and wasn't established prior, obviously. They return to old evil Lynn and get paid. She then asks if they could help her deliver it to a certain place, that being Castle Grayskull, and Teela immediately loses interest.
My grandfather told me stories about that place.
Considering you were alive 2 years ago when Grayskull was relevant news, this is starting to remind me of something else.
And an order of sorcerers called Jedi that fought with such powers.
It is an enemy?
When you go looking for it, there's always something to blindly fight against. But what were we ever fighting for? Stories? Lies? I prefer something more tangible. You won't find that in Grayskull.
Wow, what a hero. Your sense of right and wrong must have died with Adam, since you're not using it, f***ing turbo cunt. So they go to the castle, and Sorceress is still there, and the old lady reveals herself as Evil Lune, surprising no one, and laughs maniacally as she helps Sorceress recover. Yes, Evil Lune is a good guy now. The Snake Mountain trip was technically not filler, as the Havoc staff they picked up was needed to strengthen Sorceress with what little magic was left. Wait a one f***ing wingsaw second. Last we saw Evil Lune, she took the staff, but now it was sitting on Snake Mountain as a sacrament bowl? Did I miss something? Also, why does Evil Lune have gains now? For Teela, there's at least precedence for her being fit as fuck. It's ruined by the context, but Lune is not a physical fighter, she's a mage. Oh, what's that? Stop complaining cause it gets worse? Alrighty then. Cringer appears to say the trailer line.
Whether you serve Grayskull or Snake Mountain, we all gotta work together now.
Which makes no sense in the context, as Evil Lune has no affiliation to robo-crazies of Snake Mountain, nor is Teela allied with Grayskull. But the point is that we must team up to restore the dying magic. And since there is plenty of it to be wasted, Evil Lune creates visuals for something her words would be enough for. She explains the plot.
Magic gave birth to Eternia. The first planet in all of creation, the nexus of all space and time. The Sword of Power is what binds that magic to Eternia. But now that the sword's gone, the magic is gone with it. And without magic, Eternia will rot and die like an unwatered houseplant. And as goes Eternia, so goes the entire universe. Legend has it the Sword of Power is made up of 2 ancient blades of steel. One forged in the Hall of Heroes in Preternia, the other forged in Subternia.
When the sword absorbed all of the magic from the exploding orb of power, it broke into its twin halves and returned to the realms in which they were forged. You must find the 2 halves and use the ember to reforge the Sword of Power.
Am I crazy or are they sending us to heaven and hell?
Wait, what the fuck? Subternia and Preternia are heaven and hell now? What? That's like literally never been the case. Subternia is called that because it's just Eternia, underground, and Preternia, like the name implies, has been term referring to primeval Eternia when ancients and King Grayskull and stuff lived. It's literally been a CBC kind of term since fucking 2000s. I don't get it. Why is this a thing? It would be like saying Gotham in this show is in Great Britain for no reason. Teela still refuses to have any part in the operation.
Don't you understand? I am done with all of this. Let this crumbling castle keep its dead. And let all their selfish secrets die with them.
I just love how she calls Adam's selfless secret selfish. Wait, I don't. Kevin Smith obviously put focus on what the reveal of Adam's identity as He-Man meant for Teela, because he thought he was being fucking creative, but many weren't happy how it turned out. And I guess it doesn't do it for me either, because of how many times I've seen her found out in other Masters continuities, and not once did she flip her shit like this. So complete and utter fail in characterization. Despite the show's title, no one outside of the immediate main cast seems to give 2 flying fucks about Adam's identity being revealed. Like, it would be nice if we would have seen reactions from some fellow Masters, or heck, how public perception of He-Man changed as a result. Perhaps the royal family's authority is called into question for not knowing this fact, or their rule but under suspicion of also being based on magic hoax. I don't know, maybe it wasn't made public, but you'd think that year or so without He-Man and magic dying all around and Grayskull's legend seemingly being public knowledge, how that the populace would be asking some of these questions. Even if not, you can't deny that that would have been infinitely more interesting than what we got. Anyways, Teela heroically tells them to get fucked.
Without magic, Eternia will rot and die like an unwatered houseplant.
I built a life of truth, away from magic. And now you want me to save magic?
I recognize what you're feeling right now. You're not angry, you're scared. You're scared because you're just now realizing that Adam trusted you with all of this, and you're scared that you're gonna let him down. Do you think Adam would have made the sacrifice he did if he didn't know that you'd be here to protect Eternia when he was gone? He trusted you with Eternia itself. You knew his heart. So ask yourself, what would Adam want you to do?
I see. Great writing. great, good, add even more piece of shittery to Tila's character. She became a recluse, screaming about evils of Grayskull's lies, when she knew full well that protecting all that's left was entrusted to her. Cringe. Considering how she spent her time skip, for Adam to trust her, he was a
royal boob.
Tila says that before they can leave for Subternia, they need weapons master skilled enough to reforge the Sword of Power. Not gonna lie, seeing that Man-at-Arms has also become recluse with no contact to Eternia's kingdom or any interest to helping his community was not a surprise either. But if I was gonna lie for a second, I too find it believable that Man of Technology has the skills to reforge a fucking magic sword. So the journey begins. Unfortunately, Kevin went on Chiaki Kon's School of Skipping Things, and the epic quest to reforge the sword takes about 2 episodes. Episode 3 is probably the least shitty of the bunch, because nothing truly major happens. The journey to hell starts with, like many things in the show, with good intentions, aka another flashback. Apparently, Skeletor and Evil Lyn decided to become pirates one day and captured Tila and He-Man. Quick question. How do you capture a He-Man? Oh, never mind, they remember to draw the kryptonite into his shackles, that explains it. This sequence is basically only existent to set up Merman and a dumb point Evil Lyn makes about Man-at-Arms later, and to foreshadow that Skelly and Lyn are really just Joker and Harley Quinn in the show. On that day, they managed to escape thanks of Man-at-Arms, blah blah blah, heroes beat the villains by slightly pushing them, and He-Man finishes it all with a one-liner that is crappy even by his standards.
You're all wet, Skeletor.
Come, Skeletor.
He-Man had the sense of humor of a teenager who didn't get out much.
True, the dude loves his cheesy one-liners in every iteration, so I actually appreciate this line. What I don't appreciate is Evil Lyn dissing He-Man, saying that Man-at-Arms was the real threat all along, a claim that is not substantiated in the show in any way, and is a poor way to try and Batman up the character. Calling him most dangerous man on Eternia is alright, seeing to what inventions he has built in various continuities that are not this one, but saying that he was the threat and not He-Man is all kinds of bollocks. Meanwhile, on a village they're approaching, people are in Stalingrad bread lines trying to sip some magic water still left. We see that Man-at-Arms is just as pathetic as rest of them, and I have to ask, why is the village so shit? Eternia is world of both tech and magic, but most advanced thing I see here is a window. Triclops and his cult of toaster wankers randomly start attacking the place because they have magic, and I had forgotten how shitty Trapjaw's voice was. Man-at-Arms fights back, careful not to spill his drink. Soon Tila and the gang show up, but are somehow defeated by the shitty cyborgs that just Tila alone defeated like a dozen earlier. Our band of idiots are saved by Beastman of all people. Triclops is naturally too blind to see him coming. I mean, the dude has only 3 eyes. Give him a break. It is revealed that Beastie is actually in cahoots with Evil Lyn. No, we never find out why. You'd think that Beastman would be the first one to skip and hop towards the sunset singing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead after Skeletor's apparent demise, and not want anything to do with rest of evil warriors. Remember, all these mofos fucking hate each other, and the fear/respect of Skeletor used to keep them in line. Man-at-Arms reveals himself to the group, and Tila has the audacity to call him Duncan, and not father, and the fucking knobhead in turn has the audacity to prostrate himself to her and beg for forgiveness for lying to her. She's the one who needs to fucking apologize, you cock. She's in the wrong. You kept Adam and Eternia safe, you ridiculous person. Naturally, Tila does not even react to this, which might be a sign of memory loss or bad writing. Man-at-Arms says he can't help them.
Do you remember that if I so much as weld 2 pieces of metal together, I can be executed?
Bitch, that wasn't what the king said. He said,
I strip you of your title and banish you from the palace forever! And if I ever see you again, I will have you executed!
But yeah, I guess he wanted to torture the old fool. No more inventions for you. Seeing as to how Manny wants to make up with Tila, I wonder why he hasn't checked on her before this moment. He takes them to his hut to show them dying Orko, who only hastens his death by making a small son. Tila is for some reason surprised of Orko's condition despite knowing magic is dying and needs Evil Lyn to spell out that Orko is a magical being. He too was apparently exiled by Randor, which is strange as he played no direct part in Adam's demise. I guess keeping secrets is the worst of the 8 deadly sins on Eternia. Tila tries to remind Duncan that he has responsibilities towards Eternia, unlike she apparently, and tells him off for being old and bad.
You're hopeless! I'm stupid! I'm fat!
Roboto arrives to the scene. Apparently we are banishing everyone these days. Or when Manny packed his bags, he was free to take one of the greatest war assets of Eternia's kingdom. He talks some bullshit about family, and he and Orko volunteer to come with them to help, replacing Man-at-Arms as the sword forger, which finally makes Duncan grow a backbone. But Tila rebuffs him, saying he'd be better help protecting Grayskull and sorcerers, reasoning that Triclops' cult would target the place sooner or later, as they hate all magic. Yeah, about that. If that's what they've been doing all this time, shouldn't Grayskull have been first on the list? Also, in hindsight, knowing who they work for, what the f are they harassing villages for? They should be building armies and hitting key points in Eternia, not jerk off each other's prosthetics.
I can float.
Man-at-Arms tries to reveal that Sorceress is Tila's mother, and I wouldn't have figured a dumber thing to say at that moment, even after destroying my brain watching Adam Sandler movies, seeing as to how Tila rage quitted everything last time. Next scene, and our heroes have a boat now all of a sudden. Okay, now it's time for good character development. So, of course, Evil and Teal are gonna do what all women do. Talk about the men in their life. Man, these two used to be great together in Witch and Warrior. Where have those days gone? Lune says she's over Skeletor and that he only held her back, as according to her, she was born to rule, proving that Kevin had no idea what Season 2 was gonna be about. The nice trip is interrupted by fishmen attacking.
Aquaticans!
Well, that's not what they've been called before. What next? You call Skrulls Jetori? Naturally, even these fodder are too much for our idiot heroes, who used to be competent. Merman arrives, reminding me that I gave too much credit to the voice actors. He's jealous because he was forgotten or some shit. It doesn't matter, Man-at-Arms teleports out of nowhere and saves the day. And there's literally no fucking way. The ship was on the sea. How did he even know they were in danger and got there in time to begin with? I guess he was following them? But if so, why didn't he stop the fishies from wrecking one of the engines or boarding the boat? Merman, like other evil warriors and masters in this show, outside of our immediate main cast, is reduced to annoying jobber, and we move on. Tila and Man-at-Arms finally make up, though I'm not exactly sure why. He saved them, yeah, showing that he has some semblance of balls, but how does this make up for lying about Adam? Wasn't that Tila's motive for resenting everyone? How bipolar can you get? Our heroes arrive at Subternia's entrance and Havoc's staff is apparently key to there? This was never established prior. Oh, who the f cares? We are going! Subternia seems to be physically underground, yet Orko implies even other dimensional Trollans know of it and may go there. Weird, but okay. Our gang of lamos is soon separated by illusions into random groups. I mean, they say illusion, but things can kill them, and Roboto is affected despite lacking mind nor any fears. What's with these crappily written stories not knowing what illusions are? Scareglow appears, taking the role of Lord of Underworld in this continuity. Neat idea for a character based around fear, proving that this show can have good ideas. Shame about what they do with them. He shows half of the Sword of Power to Telly, promising it to her if she shows her fears and survives them without succumbing, which she agrees to. Interesting. In Marvel Comics there was quite similar story with Tila, where her greatest fears nearly drove her mad, seeing future of Eternia where Skeletor had won and slaughtered everyone and it was all her fault. This can be a great opportunity for character realization and development.
The revelation begins.
Roll fucking credits. The show then directs the camera to its secondary characters to develop them, while also shitting on Orko's character, who was always great overpowered wizard on his planet, who, due to laws of physics being different in Eternia, became unable to cast magic properly, still yearning for the respect he once had on his home, now alone in alien world where he would constantly learn it was never his magic that made him special, but what was inside. Instead, in this show, Orko wasn't any good even on his home planet, meaning that his constant f***ups on Eternia are just because he's boasting windbag who endangers others despite knowing that he sucks, and is depressed for no one ever respecting him, which eventually leads to suicide. Evelyn again wastes her magic for no reason, so she can't even defend herself against soon-to-come shadow beasts. So, quick note, what for are Orko and others transported into these illusions, or whatever? Orko seems to be facing a fear of his people dying out, but why is Evelyn there? And the f*** are Andra and rest smurfing around, fighting shadow beasts, that for some reason are some fear monsters in this continuity. She's afraid of zombies? And Beastman of animals on fire? Wow, riveting. It's not like they may deal with Scareglow. We have an ass fight, and the solution to fight their darkest fears is to Kamehameha them away. While Evelyn and Orko use their combined magic, neither of them had left to defeat their shadow beast. Back to Teela. What her fears actually entail are someone more important than her? A vision of He-Man appears and he chastises her for her not knowing the true him, and again the creators forgot the f***ing context, because it should be Adam fighting her here, telling her these things. Adam should be the one mocking her for feeling alone and inadequate, for him not letting her in on this side of his life, because he was the real one all along. He-Man was the secret in the context of the show. If this thing was based on real He-Man, she'd die like immediately, but I guess losing this illusion game, one must fall into despair or something. The fight takes a weird turn when out of nowhere He-Man's illusion decides that Teela's true fear was actually that she's too perfect and changes into her old design, which we'd rather take for the real one. I've watched the scene 5 times now with context, and it feels just as organic as a steam locomotive in a butthole. My only f***ing guess is that this is forced foreshadowing of her being Sorceress's daughter, which she has no f***ing idea about at this point, and is separate secret to Adam's dual identity and has nothing to do with her leaving her duties. She fights herself for a bit, and surprisingly for an SJW show, she doesn't get to kill nor humiliate He-Man's or her former/ideal self's illusions, which I honestly was impressed by. I know, standards have never been higher, but my joy was cut short by the meaninglessness of it all. Scareglow kinda gets bored and stops the illusion even before Teela tells him to f*** off for no reason, completely forgetting that she had fair deal going on for the sword, and instead uses her bullshit plot powers to conjure it. And I honestly had forgotten that the sorceress mark appeared on her during this scene, so there was actually a percentage of setup before season 2 that everyone just forgot. What it however does for the scene is make it an utter disaster. Teela sure talks big game of how she controls her fears, but in retrospect looks more like she uses some magic she couldn't know she had to solve problem without facing any of her character flaws. Bravo. Now that that's done, she reunites with our other stupid asshole characters and uses the sword half to open a gateway to the next piece. Isn't that convenient? Is that Preternia? Are you actually f***ing me? Not only is heaven named Preternia, but for God knows what reason, it also has the f***ing 3 towers? Why? Why does heaven look like Bronze Age? I don't get it! Their victory lap is however interrupted by Scareglow, who binds everyone, which forces Orko into f***ing God mode, attacking a literal ghost with rocks. Why Orko suddenly can cast magic without f***ing it up, I don't know. Guess it's that Nakama boost that he's never gotten in prior adventures, but maybe now that magic is dying he can suddenly become arch f***ing wizard for no reason. It's actually so stupid that none of our heroes are surprised that it's happening, in a show written by Kevin Smith, master of witty innuendos. Like my last 2 brain cells during math exam, they get the f*** out of there while they're getting screwed, leaving poor Orko to sacrifice himself. Yes, Orko dies. But he's not the only one.
Teela!
Adam?
I was talking about Merman's relevancy, but you'll do. Wait, so... Huh? So Adam was actually dead? Like dead? Does people die if they are killed? Everyone has a quiet moment for Orko's sacrifice, and it's genuinely heartwarming. Though, unfortunately, in this show, even good moments just direct attention to bad things. Where was anyone commending Adam for his sacrifice? The dude saved the universe by exchanging his life, and only gets crap thrown at him for it. No, screw that. He sacrificed twice. He was He-Man, the one fucking thing that prevented him from living a normal life as himself, having to pretend around his family. Nope, you don't see anyone throwing a memorial for him. At this point, Kevin realizes that they only have one episode left, so naturally Adam has the second sword half and hands it over, but I suppose that at least makes sense. Adam tells them that there's no exit from Preternia heaven thing, saying that they only got here because Subternia is connected to it, which is a self-defeating statement if I ever heard one, as Subternia is connected to Eternia physically. Just open another sword portal there and climb back to the surface. Who cares, they're trapped here. No, wait, they are not. Adam knows someone who knows a way out. He and TT have a chance for a heart-to-heart, but she just gives him the old stinky eyes. Adam asks somewhat reasonable question of what they need the Sword of Power for. Apparently knowing what the orb's destruction entails didn't belong to job description, but she instead has the absolute nerve to start chastising Adam for having lied to her. Yes, just to her and not the world in general, and tells him to f*** off from her life, not even trying to understand why he did any of what he did. Not only is this unbelievably self-centered and an asshole thing to do to a dead man who saved you and the whole fucking universe, with him paying for it, she's hating on him for doing the right thing. But this should be the fucking part of every show ever made where the living characters start to bargain for getting their fallen, better sacrificed friend out of the afterlife when they leave. But nope, she nor anyone even thinks of this being a possibility. Fuck off. Getting back on track, Adam tells Teela that they need to talk to King Grayskull, the OG wielder of Sword of Power, subsequently appearing as biggest plot point in every Masters show since his introduction in 2002, yet never quite reaching the same hype as the first time. He is hanging out with other Preternia era characters, barbarian hero Vikor, Undar, and prior sorceress Koduk Angol, partaking in what Adam calls the Wild Hunt, paying homage to many Scandinavian sensibilities in Masters, though it shares more in common with slapstick cartoon than its epic namesake, complete with woggly AF CGI. Adam and Teela join in, the scene probably meant to show them bonding again, but nothing in the writing supports this, since next time they talk, she's still sore. I mean, she saves his butt like twice, so I guess we are being led to the inevitable conclusion. Oh, by the way, Kodak only talks in crazy cat lady noises. I guess the writing team watched that one 80s episode and thought it would be funny if she was talking like mix between human and a bug the entire time. Also, while I hate useless reference porn that this show has entirely too much of, where are characters like Olar or Eldor? They don't exist? We also know that there has been sorcerers per generation in this continuity, but we don't see any of them. Like, was Vena not good enough for Preternia? For that matter, was Orko not good enough? Why only special heroes get heaven, but everyday people who never sinned get Subternia? Or do they not go anywhere? What the f*** is happening? King Grayskull, now black in this iteration, and the other Preternians seem to like making fun of Adam for being small. So I guess f*** him if he was the ultimate result of efforts of every single one of you. It is never outright said, but it's implied by Grayskull that Vikor and Undar also used Sword of Power to transform into He-Man-like states in this continuity, and those are their forms in Afterlife. Yet Adam chose to be his quote lesser self, the show obviously trying to subtly hint that Adam Teela knew was always the true Adam, not He-Man. Except he's not? He-Man is Adam's true self. I mean, not literally, I said that much already. But what I mean is that when he is Adam, he's forced to pretend to be lazy, timid prince who always lets people in his life down. He-Man says and does the things what he really thinks. His morals and actions are Adam's true feelings, that isn't restrained by his charade. So again, writing fumbles a decent metaphor, though I'll give them that this is easy to mess up. Meanwhile, in the central tower, Hero says that the Sword of Power was forged by Trollans to act as a conduit for the power of Grayskull, and they were never meant to be two swords, suggesting that Kevin was either forgetful or incredibly high, since in prequel comic Grayskull forged the sword from the two f***ing pieces. Same writer. Then that f***ing writer creates a problem and solves it in same sentence. I don't know, it's some bullshit we need to make it so that Roboto has to sacrifice himself to reforge the blade, because not enough legacy characters have been murdered already. Cut to nighttime, King Grayskull exposits that one of the three towers has backdoor to World of Living for some reason. He also talks about how he feared death his entire life, but when time came for him, he realized there was never anything to fear, that life was gay anyway, while Roboto starts reforging the sword in fiery inferno required for the task, Adam has only slightly less pleasant task of trying to reach out to Tila once again.
I know how you...
Stop.
Stop what?
Being nice. Just let me be angry.
That's what she said after probably years of nothing but anger. This conversation exemplifies what I said before to an nth degree. Tila bitching and moaning how Adam hurt her and that she couldn't even hate on him because he was dead. She literally flames him for dying for everyone. Tila the idiot tells Adam that all magic is dying, apparently thinking it would hurt him. I don't know, maybe she just wants him to enjoy his retirement or simply never wants him to come back. Either way, I'm disliking. After storming off like an adult, Mossman comes in. Adam, now worried of home, asks Mossman if him going back would be possible. Mossman says that he'd effectively be forfeiting his paradise by going back to World of Living. Apparently it resets your worthiness gauge, or you can't disintegrate yourselves and not become part of soil as Mossman puts it. Writing clear dialogue is hard. I don't even particularly see what's so paradise-like here. Why wouldn't you leave? Roboto finally finishes the sword in admittedly pretty cool scene where Central Tower is used as the forge. He ends up wall-eing himself, and instead of taking his parts with them when they leave and have Man-at-Arms fix him like in dozen or so previous stories, he's just gone forever. The show claims that he had an arc, as he's happy that he's capable of feeling emotion, that being fear gazing into the abyss, as his stupid blender with no soul. The idiots pack their bags and are ready to head out, but Adam can't bear to lose anyone else and wants to come with them, almost procuring an emotional response from Tila. Your dead friend that was at the center of all your problems getting a chance to come back at great risk of personal sacrifice again, in her mind is cool, I guess. And then they leave. So Tila was gonna leave without reconciliation with Adam. I guess Roboto is not the only soulless thing in this team of idiots. They arrive back to Grayskull, where Man-at-Arms is protecting it. And his reaction to seeing Adam alive? Underwhelming. At least Cringer missed him. Lol, they don't even notice Orko and Roboto are gone. Tila explains that when Orb of Power explode, the Sword of Power channeled its energies to Preternia and Subternia. Weird that it didn't blow them up like regular universe, but alright. And now that the sword is reforged, it can call the power back to Grayskull. Didn't it break the last time it contained the full orb? Who the f cares? Adam does it, but never finishes his I have the power chant, so the orb comes back anyway. Who cares? Universe is restored, magic is back, blah blah blah, happy ending.
I have the power!
No, Madara, you don't have the power, and this is not the end.
F***ing really? You couldn't even last 6 minutes, man? Interestingly, he chose to stab non-fatally. Yes, bitches, Skeletor is back.
I'm here, bitches!
One of the only few times this show did him any justice. Despite all these crappy characters went through, all their sacrifices, it was all so Skeletor could inherit the Earth like he was always meant to. He explains that while being unmade by the orb, he slipped his essence into Evil Lun's wand, leeching off of her to remain alive, something Lun finds particularly nasty. This is for some reason explained later again, like if it was new information. Aha! So that's why she had those gains, because Skeletor was making this out of that. Wait. Naturally, having heard everything from there, like how she talked about being over him, Skelly offers her a place beside him. Yes, Skeletor, that merciful guy, which he does. Skeletor makes an incel comment.
Look at my face, child! It has furnished for me a lonely life in which none would have me as a man.
Completely forgetting his own f***ing origin story in this continuity. This is especially funny knowing an infamous scene that happens later. Then, and those who haven't watched this dog shit, you just have to take my word for it. F***ing then, Skeletor calls upon power of Grayskull with Adam's sword, and he f***ing becomes imbued with power like He-Man. He's He-Tor. Skeleman. God Skeletor. Come Lord Skeletor. F*** my life.
Weak, pathetic fools, I've come for your souls.
And that's the end of first season. Skeletor wins, out of nowhere. And to think, that's not even the worst disaster in this season. It would have been mercy if the show ended here and we'd all go on with our lives wondering how our heroes would deal with this fucking fuck. In the country I hail from, Masters of the Universe 2002 ended abruptly on a cliffhanger and season 2 never aired here, so I've definitely got experience with that. Mama always said that the show was just on a summer break. It's been a long summer this far. The next 5 episodes then. Did they stick the landing? Well, believe it or not, they're probably even worse.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
At this point in the timeline, the whole story starts to feel very disjointed and contradictory, and I finally noticed something that might be the reason. From the first episode, almost every episode has had a different writer. That's right, 10-episode show needed almost twice as many writers to get it out. Strange, considering it usually requires double the amount of people fucking up to produce something of equal quality. Oh, don't worry, it's still alright to put the blame on Kevin Smith for the writing, considering he is credited as story editor or some lofty title in every episode. As a side note, these credits are fucking bollocks, man. They just can't keep them straight. People are credited with different roles between beginning and ending credits. I just don't know what the fuck they're doing in that writer's room other than drugs. But come on, every episode makes it feel like this show was written like those kindergarten exercises where someone starts a story and next one has to tell how it continues off the top of their heads. Anyways, back to the show. I remember when season 2, or rather next 5 episodes, was announced and literally nobody gave a shit. I too were apathetic, but I had long ago made a vow to make this fucking video. I guess when fans were betrayed and then treated like crap for their outcry, they were just gone. They left to watch that CGI He-Man show instead, with a speed comparable to Homestuck fans migrating to Undertale and Danganronpa fandoms after Homestuck 2's failure. Instead of getting to the point quickly, Season 2 begins with flashback, since Kevin and pals forgot to set up all-important plot point. Years ago, in Pool of Power beneath Grayskull, coronation of Sorceress took place, with her family present, confirming that Man-at-Arms was her baby daddy and showing that indeed Tila is their daughter. Unless you were a prior fan of the show, this literally jumps out of left field and robs you for a good measure. And the only purpose of this scene is to set up Sorceress powers Tila has later, that were used only once and you blinked and missed it.
This is a blessing, one that will manifest when she needs it most.
Yeah, you sacrificed the character development that could have been had with her battling Scareglow for a little plot convenience. Let me ask you, where was this power when Skeletor was breaking the orb? Back in the present. Yes, Sorceress was daydreaming that flashback for no reason. The now purple Skeletor proclaims that he's finally reached victory. Hey dude, you only have power of He-Man, not the full orb of power. I mean, that was your true goal, remember? That's still in the castle. What made you settle for less? Like, He-Man's good and all, but you want the shit that his power exists to protect, though, right? Skeletor launches into trailer monologue, claiming that true secret of Grayskull is that universe is unforgiving and random, and only power forces it to make sense. Power that he has. We'll talk about this later as more is revealed. Adam distracts Skelly long enough so Cringer can free rest of the gang bound by Evil Lyn by separating her from her staff. Sure, now it's Man-at-Arms' turn to be distraction, and he gets his ass beat, naturally. Sorceress then uses last of her power to save Adam and the gang, sending them back to Eternus, though she fails to save Man-at-Arms because Evelyn touches him, I don't know, and Skeletor kills her for her troubles, making this the 4th continuity in a row to kill her. Things are happening fast. Can we pause this for a second and talk about plot stuff, like world-defining mechanics? Skeletor's ultimate victory here depends on him being able to use the Sword of Power. Like, why can he do that? No, seriously, I'm clueless. Can just any random jock in this fucking continuity use it if you know the magic words? We've always had systems in place in prior continuities that dictate only chosen of Grayskull can wield it, or one who's direct descendant of his. In Thundercats crossover, Skeletor did the same fucking plan, but in that version, the power still fucking kills the unworthy, like seen in prior stories, so he uses Mom Ra's immortality to withstand the experience. But here, He just takes the sword, something he could have done on day one, and I'm f***ing hoping he only got the idea just now after listening from Evil's staff. Otherwise, all these years he could have used the f***ing thing. So yeah, in this continuity, anyone can lift Mjolnir, and Loki just didn't know about it. I guess keeping all those secrets was pretty f***ing instrumental in hindsight, huh? Anyway, Skeletor makes Evelyn the new Sorceress of Grayskull, which is a thing he can do. Guys, he has He-Man powers, not the orb itself, right? The orb should dictate the sorceress, right? I don't know. Teela and others wake up, finding Adam in critical condition. Teela uses her Deus Ex Machina powers to heal him, since it's about the time they became plot relevant. I guess she's not okay with him being dead anymore? Fisto and Clampjamp arrive at the scene. Yeah, great idea to pair up two guys with the same character mold. And they don't recognize Teela's ugly-ass makeover, mistaking the group with Adam and Gringer in it for thieves. Are you two blind? They reveal that after people saw the crazy shit over Grayskull, Eternals decide to evacuate to Point Dread, one of the few brainful decisions by characters in this show. Except it isn't, because f***ing Point Dread is historically known as Grayskull's outpost and is closer to the f***ing castle than Eternus, you both for brains. True, they say it's protected. But by f***ing what? Grayskull's magic that Skeletor wields now? Speaking of whom, Fisto makes quick comment about fisting Skeletor, very cool, gotta have that. Shit like this just makes me know that Kevin was giggling to himself while pitching his jokes to the rest of the crew. And then Man of the Hour appears. Skeletor releases the T-Virus, killing many thousands, judging by this shot, and Fisto, aka Fist for Brains, decides that best plan is to touch the thing, leading to him and Clampchamp becoming Skelecoon zombie things. And only halfway positive thing I can say of this ass-off sequence is that at least Andras never explained worst fear of B-horror monsters is kept consistent, which is where the compliments end, as our heroes mercilessly blow the f*** out of two fallen heroes. Not a second spent believing that they have other options. Their Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru-ified bones paraded for all of us to see. Then everyone moves on like nothing ever happened. In summary, out there's someone whose favorite character just ate shit. To rub the rock salts into the metaphorical wounds, Skeletor waltzes in, holding the deceased heroes' souls, and sends them to Subternia instead of Preternia, saying that he controls life and death as well as dimensions of afterlife, something He-Man always had, but just refused to use. Which, what the fuck? F***ing really? Can't think of a situation where that power would have been useful and would have ended the show right then and there. Why was this power added? Sure, I fully buy the orb having that power, but He-Man's always been depicted as having the raw power of the Grayskull, but not its wisdom, so this is dumb as fuck. Reminds me of all those times writers added yet another new power or feat for Superman that would have made like previous 600 comics not happen if he had the same abilities in those stories. But hey, to be fair, I'm digging this. Skeletor being on top, enjoying every minute of it, and ruining everybody. That's my jam. Yeah, I love Skeletor getting his wins. It's always blast to watch. So I'll at least give some credit to Revelation for recognizing who the arch-fiend of this series really is, and that he deserves respect. Hopefully my joy isn't cut short by something stupid later. So things are looking grim. Skeletor's ultimate god levels of powerful, so nothing less of He-Man showing up could save our heroes, which the show refuses to do.
What are we laughing at?
God, I hate modern trailers.
See, the sword is just the conduit, but the spark? That was always me. And I've often wondered, what kind of fabulous secret powers would be revealed to me if I didn't have the sword, but still said the words?
No.
By the power of Grayskull!
No, no, no! 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 No!
Wait, what? Hold it! Stop this instant! He can still call the power with no sword, and when Skeletor has it? Does everyone in this fucking universe get the power if they just say the words? Or is that an exception? And if so, why? He says that the spark was always in him, but what? Anyone can use the power in this show, it's made very clear later. So why is Adam having special connection to it? If it's the blood of Big G, that's never referenced. Is this multiple writers having different ideas again? I guess we found out the reason why All-R wasn't good enough for Preternia. What a fucking brain fart idea. So He-Man's now problematic white male, I mean the Hulk. Does Kevin Smith confuse He-Man for some Shazam shit? He doesn't change form, it's just Adam who gains new abilities. There is no room for this idiotic Adam needs to keep He-Man in check, lest he becomes a savage incarnation of power. His goodness is the only thing that stops the animalistic power from taking over crap. No, screw that. That's like saying that your superpowers have evil personality. That's bullshit. It's only Adam there, but now he can punch really hard. So, that's what happens without the sword. I guess it's like magic libido filter or something. Wow, this twist can go eat my ass. At the very least, the fight is 100 times better than anything in these 10 episodes. It's really cool looking, apart from those fodder zombie boys overwhelming he muscle man for a second. And yes, he guts all those innocent people turned pawns, and as sure as Orko is a black man, ain't no one gonna feel for him later either. Also, Skeletor has multiple opportunities to snuff out lives of Teela and everybody, but when he wants to kill him, he sends mooks. Use the OP missed at least, God. Anyway, Skeletor sort of manages to defeat the Incredible Hunk, like they're both powered by the same source, so I guess Skeletor's magic and tactics are doing the difference. It's not like he has the orb or anything. Huh, come to think of it, the orb never comes into play after episode 5. Why is that? It's sparsely even mentioned. It's like the writers thought of more neat and less immediate victory condition to our baddies, so they wouldn't absolutely murk every single one of our heroes instantly. The fight ends in very lame way with Teela Deus Ex Machina-ing them out of there. Yeah, she can do that now. Skeletor fucks back to Grayskull, confused as the audience. And the writers. About how Adam could call the power. He says a line that'll be echoed later about how Sorceress is the one that allows the power to flow to the champion, despite how it was other way around just an episode ago. Keep that in mind. Meanwhile, Teela bifrosted he Broly and gang to some place with rocks that float, which is apparently supposed to be Mystic Mountains. My pronouns are he, man, acts like a dumb animal, making me wonder what part of infinite knowledge of the universe Skeletor was wanking to a second ago. Cut to Grayskull's dungeons, where Man-at-Arms is... why is there a skeleton there? Is there something Sorceress wants to tell us? Anyway, Skelly interrogates him. The scene is utterly useless and only serves to establish that how Adam could use the power with no sword will never get a resolution. No, really. It never comes back after he mellows out. Speaking of, Savage the White Oppressor has found out about all the mean things Teela has said about him these past episodes and prepares to show her some #MeToo scars, resulting in only scene where Teela kinda implies she is sorry for everything. Conan the Blonde Darien, however, is triggered by loud horns announcing where People of Eternus' secret base is. Apparently, he's really angry at his dad for not loving him enough, which is ironically believable only in this continuity, from what we've seen of Randor, that dick-ass. But remembering that this show is based on something tad more nuanced, might come into the way. He Turker is stronger than anyone! Starts killing all these Eternian soldiers just doing their job. No tears for them either, till he's restrained by the most OP fucking thing ever. Fucking ropes against power of the universe. And you thought Thor and Broly getting boloed by little Zappiting was nonsensical and embarrassing? Wait till you see this cancer. Anyways, King Randor makes him see the light by talking about how he was a dad, and he's proud of his son, now realizing he had all the power in the universe. Fucking ropes. And mental strength to know when not to use it. Adam depowers, and naturally, everyone is blasted 5 feet, but Randor in the blast epicenter. Usually Masters writers are competent enough to make sure to portray Randor loving his son before he knows of his burden as He-Man, because now that it's after that he apologizes and just now realizing his son was special, it feels more like, see son, you just needed to become universe's strongest dude for me to be proud of you, instead of distant dad realizing what he always had. Now that he has more context to why his child was the way he was, now he can love him. A rational thing for sure, but not my advice for parenting. Because this is a modern show, we must have characters constantly talking about their emotions and problems in hallways. So we cut to scene of Beastman consoling evil Lynn, who ponders about her Batwoman cosplay. The only thing we learn here is that Beastman is a simp and he wants Lynn to stop being one too, reinforcing the stuff about power flowing through sorceress, despite nothing in the show supporting this. On Eternia's camp, all the soldiers act like something weird didn't just happen, and Randor thanks Tila for bringing Adam back and says this cursed line.
You had every right to turn your back on Eternos.
Idiot! Why doesn't he die?
Without Andra, Adam wouldn't be here right now.
Oh right, this character. I almost forgot she was in the show. You could remove her and not change a thing. Only stuff she did was that forged thing, and I don't believe for a second that most advanced AI and dozen primordial magic assholes couldn't have figured that shit out for themselves. Let's face it, Andra or whoever is useless addition to the cast, only there to facilitate conversations of some white chick. She gets a nothing payoff in the end, so we can pretend we created a new important character. The least you could have done was not to direct attention towards her. Queen Marlena appears and has a tearful reunion with her son, and we imply that Asgore's and Toriel's, I mean Marlena's and Randor's relationship has been on the rocks after their son turned into flower, I mean died, which is one of the few things we see Adam's death having affected, which, you guessed it, is a lot of untapped potential. It just baffles me that nobody gives a single fuck about any status quo changes in this show. Back at the castle Boneface, Bat Lynn comes to see Duncan in jail, who shames her for getting bullied by her boyfriend. The point is to hammer home the shitty Joker Harley Quinn parallel the show's got going on, as well as the sorceress channeling the power being set up for the eventual heel turn. Look, obviously this sorceress controlling the power thing that's never been a thing in Masters of the Universe history was added into this series to facilitate payoff later, where Evil Lynn or Tila used it to sever Skeletor's connection to it, since it's been mentioned so many goddamn times. Well, of course you'd think on the lines of that. Literally any reasonably good storyteller and not a stupid person would. But as we've established, Kevin Smith is neither of those things. Yeah. This plot point is never brought up again, and the way Evelyn takes the power, unrelated. She goes to Skelly, who hasn't gone after the heroes, as he's waiting for Universe to do that convergence shit from Legend of Korra Season 2 to further amplify his power. Okay, but why though? Skeletor shows her how all life is tiny and meaningless to the vastness of cosmos in admittedly visually cool Z.
Soon, for the first time since creation, Eternia will once again find herself at the center of the universe.
In the center of the universe.
Great continuity. Look, just go get the orb, find a way to use that, and kill everyone. The point here is that Evelyn reasons that life is meaningless, blah blah blah, she's becoming a nihilist, there's no plan, it's all bullcrap, blah blah blah. This sucks, man. The one with the power can make the plan be whatever they want. Skeletor says as much, so this is non-issue. A pretty funny joke has Evelyn ask what Skelly does after he has all the power that exists, and he says that he'll kill He-Man, and Lynn thinks it sucks, and Skelly looks at her like his logic is obvious. He is just completely happy about his life goals. Lynn nags how Skeletor thinks of Batman, I mean He-Man, more than her needs, and Skeletor doesn't just destroy her for being such an annoyance. Oh, another hallway talk, blah blah blah, abused victim backstory. We find out Evil Lame's batshit insane backstory, where she lived in poor place and her starving parents tried to eat her. Wow, this version of Faceless One sucks. She escaped and lived in sewer till Skeletor showed up before she was beat up by two randos. I'm sorry, Skeletor saw potential in this garbage? He didn't have row of misfits eager to take on Eternia, but had to resort to a street threat as his first recruit? This was also back in his Horde days, and the dumb comics make it seem that he specifically scouted Evil Lynn out, since he didn't hang out in Eternia yet. What the fuck? Easy to see why Evelyn related to Orko in previous episodes. Her parents tried to eat her, and Orko's probably used him as napkin. Elsewhere, Tila thinks she has to explain to Adam of all people that they fight simply because they must protect other people, while Hypocrite City is calling, saying that they're one bad hair cut short. She finally says that she understands he kept his secret with good intentions. Fucking finally! I don't actually know what made her turn 180. I guess she cooled off. But wait, she immediately flames Adam again.
There's something else I never told you.
I know. The sorceress is my mom.
No, you silly, that I'm in love with you. Tila says that maybe Mystic Mountains allowed her to know, or maybe she's always known, and Star Wars vibes are only making this worse. Regardless, this leads to her wanting to get to the bottom of her powers. So, I know this has been a wild ride of nonsense and characters being idiots, but you must bear with me here for this next scene. Those who haven't seen this crap already are not gonna believe me, but please. Emancipation Lyn approaches God Skeletor and she has a proposition.
Don't you want to rev up your Harley? Vroom, vroom.
Evil Lyn is about to ride Skeletor's bone and she says,
Not like this. If a mere mortal sleeps with a god, she could wake up in the afterlife. No, you must power down.
Well, who cares? I can just resurrect you since I control life.
Honey, turn off the power.
No, I'm already turned on.
And then, fucking then, Skeletor depowers. What a fucking Uno. Oh, I get it now. This wasn't an adaptation of the actual Masters of the Universe. It was just confused adaptation of E.L. James's Master of the Universe. He's ready to give her that evil seed, but then surprise surprise, she steals the sword. That's all it takes. Literally all it takes to make Universe's most hardened criminal who's done nothing but thirst after this power for years to give it up. Man, just think of all those times villain's second in command could have ruled if they just offered some sexy times. And you wondered why I called the form Come Skeletor. Words fail to describe how much this sucks. Cringe. Skeletor, guy so paranoid that every time he got into Grayskull on screen admitted to fearing that if he let go of the power for a second he'd lose it. Gives it up because he's a bit horny, something the show explicitly makes clear he doesn't fucking care about, as would be consistent with prior incarnations. He's only attracted to power. He's completely loveless. And you thought that Voldemort sleeping around in the Cursed Child was the most cursed thing ever.
By the power of Grayskull!
Right. That's not how the power works, but I guess it's now confirmed that literally anyone can use it. No blood or spirit of Grayskull, no moral character testing, no magic defenses, nothing. It's wonderful when show goes out of its way to say that all adventures prior were a plot hole. What is it with you people these days? I try to be nice, try to give you a chance, but no! You writers who for some reason inherited everything nostalgic can't go 5 minutes without subverting expectations, when we'd be plenty happy sometimes if all went according to plan. You know, logically. Can't waste a good product without attaching a stupid twist on it nowadays. Skeletor kinda blue screens for a whole 2 minutes and just lets her take the sword.
Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look.
So, Evil Lynch becomes a nihilist bodybuilder just like that. Aw, that's adorable. You thought that there was a version of this where Lyn ends up as final villain and it doesn't suck balls. By the way, nice design, Sherman. Mortal Kombat, face paint and trucker hair. Love it. At least God mode Skelly looked kinda cool, aside from looking like gore meaty. Wait a minute, her hair became short and remains so when she's changed back, but when Tila enters her OP form, she gets her long hair back. What? Also, again with the games? Adora doesn't get them when she turns. I thought that Sorceress was the OG great status, but now you are the champion. Previously, Skelly said that Sorceress was bound to Grayskull, so how is she able to leave and affect other places? She just got more add-ons, not switched powers. Skeletor Scooby-Doo's away, and Evil Large makes announcement for Eternia, saying that she's gonna free them all from their meaningless, uncertain existences. But then she straight up disproves her own argument for existence having no plan or reward by reminding everyone that Preternia exists. Yeah, explain that, Looney, will you? If there's no point to anything, why'd universe make heaven or hell for you? But not realizing that your own argument has been debunked is par for the course for writers that can't even keep the core of their stories straight. As if knowing that she looks silly for doing this, she Thanoses the entirety of Preternia. Yes, heaven is no more. Grayskull, Mossman and everybody just go, "Oh man," and are wiped out from existence. Naturally, nobody hardly reacts to literal afterlife being wiped out. Fuck this. Then, instead of doing what she promised to do, you know, end existence, she doesn't do that, or even put all who could stop her into Subternia. So much for her making better use of the power than Skeletor. Speaking of the old boner face, guards bring him directly to royal family, so he can kill them, I guess.
Well, don't just stand there, you royal boob. Invite me in.
That was one of the funniest lines of 80s.
You ruined it. You ruined it and I'm leaving.
Teela contacts all Eternians willing to fight Unbeatable Despot who just nuked heaven by using telepathy that she has now. Just roll with it. She fails when she realizes that she's floating, while Adam and Skeletor are having a hallway conversation of their own. Well, not really. Skeletor is proposing alliance to defeat Lyn, who unlike him will destroy everything. Yeah. Apparently the writers don't get why Skeletor is called Overlord of Destruction. For him, that's what conquest is all about. Colossal character misunderstandings aside, Skeletor's plan hinges on Adam calling for the power without sword once more, as that's literally the only thing they've got that can put hands on sort of power wielders. But Adam refuses, as the form nearly killed his father. I don't know, how about you use some ropes on her? That was pretty effective last time. Adam has different idea, which is dependent on Teela's newfound powers.
Oh my god.
Only God Skeletor prays to himself. Fake fans detected. Back at Castle Skull Rock, Evil Lyn experiments with some blue meth, seeing a vision of, I don't know? It's never explained in series, so my best guess is time close to Eternia's beginning, where some kind of quarrel between animals takes place, ending with the Falcon, obviously meant to be Eternia's primary goddess, Zoar, dying to a snake, possibly Serpos, implying that we are seeing primordial past with gods roaming in Eternia, though Evil Lyn taking form of a sorceress contradicts this, seeing how later this is implied to be beginning of sentient life, which conveniently Lyn doesn't see because rest of the plot wouldn't happen. Instead, she takes this as a lesson of senseless universe again. Okay, so many things wrong here, least of which being that this seems like repeat of what we heard already, and that it was just tagged on so payoff at the end can happen. But what I'd like to know is that since Evelyn seems shocked to find out about this history, she must have not known that their god was a jobber, so why'd she think universe was nihilistic mess if she and everyone believed in this god prior? The script again shot itself on foot. Or maybe no one actually worshipped this loser version of the goddess, since, you know, no one were there to see this, except maybe one sorceress. But again, life came from her death, and no one seems to know that. Evil Lyn's reason to wanting everything dead is feeling more than little convoluted at this point. Also, what a stupid lesson to take from this. Why is it business of gods to give humans meaning in the first place? You're alone in the universe? You've always had each other. You only make yourself weaker, relying on the divine. Respect the divine, but don't let it control you. This scene might hold the record of creating most problems in the show despite how innocuous it looks. Adam and Skeletor soon arrive, and Evil Lyn, since she has rocks in her brain, lets them waltz in and try whatever plan they wish, despite this being the exact thing she nagged Skeletor for. Also, Teela and Andra have sneaked into Grayskull through sewer system. Is Grayskull on this show just easiest place to break into? Every time it's hand-waved away by writers despite previous shows being founded on the conflict of bad guys trying to get in. Whatever. They walk for a bit with no care in the world when obviously there are guards. Did you fucking miss on purpose? Skeletor and Adam start fighting Evil Lyn because she's bored AF, it seems. Their play being to distract her long enough so Teela can get to the sorceress making chamber, the location of which they know for some reason. And so, wait, what the fuck? Am I tripping or just dying? Because it looks like base, no games, no bitches, Prince Soyboy Adam is able to fight Sword of Power, God Mode Overlord come face Evil Lyn?
Mine's bigger.
With body like that, I believe you. Spikor is so shit at being spiky that this works. Wait, are those Goatman and Pig Boy? Of all the things to reference. Oh, look, it's Manny Armory. He escaped off panel because the new god of the castle is shitty at her job. Are they trying to say something about women in positions of power, or am I just stoned? Speaking of, Evil Lyn murders Panther. Great, yet another legacy character gone. And Skeletor seems to care a lot, actually, despite him not being capable of it. More on that later. fucking use ropes already. She'd be down in 5 seconds. Teela enters Atlantis, the Lost Empire crystal room, and decides that this is good time to have a crisis about whether or not she can be sorceress or not. A reasonable doubt, yes, but it too is given breathing room of about 10 seconds. After Manatarms already reassured her that she's bestest ever, and her telepathic message totally got through to him and everyone. Which,
Citizens of Eternia, we're in dire need of your help. Please, hear my message and...
I mean, it's not Spartacus or anything, but I guess that was motivating. And what do you know, all the people of Eternia have assembled to the Black Gate, as if that would make any fucking difference. Hooray for cameos with zero substance. Sorceress appears to her and Teela gives her old bitch face treatment, despite understanding what goes into this fucking job. Too late to be consistent now. Sorceress explains that in order to gain her magic, Teela must let go of everyone she cares about, though she herself admits that she never did that, so what's the point? She explains she wanted Teela to not be bound to the lonely life in the castle, despite giving her the mark. Seeing how this show has characterized Teela thus far, I was surprised that she didn't flip out on this revelation and denounce everything for Sorceress daring to lie to her. This is a pretty inconsistent writing. I mean, what development did she undergo so her reaction is entirely different now? Holy fucking Grizzlor poop, he actually drew blood from her with regular ass sword, what the fuck? Was there kryptonite in that mofo? Or is Evil Large just so shit at using power? Beastman experiences simping overload, becoming Gygor-alike creature, and Lyn and Skelly have their final quarrel to tie up all the inconsistent writing with a neat bow. Evelyn claims that she always wanted to kill him and that the life he helped her have was actually ass, only using her as something she's doing to Beastman but never realizes. And she never left him before his death, just because I guess. She concludes her rant by saying Skeletors don't love, they only crave. This is somewhat on right track, so of course Kevin had to f*** with this character-defining thesis retroactively, but more on that later. Unable to just win somehow, Lyn summons Army of Subternia, basically making hell on earth, the show fully embracing its biblical namesake. I guess Subternians are alright with the idea of non-existence. Even Scareglow is here, because getting killed by Orko is just not the way to go. Whoa, Gringer too? Did Evil Lyn's bottomless character contradictions weaken her and Beasties since they seem to be so much shittier compared to other power users? Strange she never uses her abilities that would one-shot, like they seemingly can't do anything to her TK or soul stealing. Writing overpowered characters so them not immediately killing heroes seems justified is hard, I guess. Also, plot twist! Orko was summoned by Lyn as well, and he saves the both of them. Wait, Orko was sent to Subternia when he died? Why? Because he died there? Or is there something he wants to tell us? Naturally, Fisto and Clamchamp weren't important enough. Since plot contrivances are reaching critical mass anyways, why not make him also have a super form and be god levels of powerful for no reason? Sure, he's outspeeding and beating f*** out of Evelyn, knocking the sword back to Adam's hand. Wow, look at that. He uses it to become He-Man for real for the first time since episode 1, and also makes Skeletor back into the Cum-Lord form. Why not give the power to someone else? Someone who fucking deserves it! Some good guys outside like Grandor or whatever. Why? Why? He seemingly wants to show him what it feels like to be a hero, but that black-hearted ass doesn't deserve it. This shot is pretty impressive. I know, most of these are copy-paste, but they're actually all animated. Glad to see Eternia went to MCU school of shitty army battle scenes. Like, why is everyone in a big pile? Shouldn't there be, I don't know, strategy? Take advantage of your vehicles and artillery, for f***'s sake, none of Subternians have them. Meanwhile, Teela still can't plug the controller to the right USB port, since she's still salty of her mommy not being there in her life. Sources explaining for second time compromises were made, something Teela is unable to do. She gives half-hearted anime speech about friendship, where was that in all of these past episodes, gleefully disregarding established power mechanics, again to do whatever she damn well pleases instead. Look, this is not some Jedi is bad because they abandon emotion. I will not do that, but still use the Force. The sorcering pool literally won't accept you if you don't abide by its rules set by magic. But no, I guess every prior sorceress was stupid for abandoning their attachments, since Tila's gonna make a new way and she gets the power anyway. Cringe. Randor was standing right next to it. That should have killed him, and that should have killed Eternian soldiers here. Also, what happened to her being brains and not muscle type character? Oh, who cares, girl boss moment. Orko Fushoda Scareglow and defeats him again, making me wonder why doesn't this clearly the most OP wizard character go kick Lun's ass next? He already beat the shit out of her. Just go finish this job, you gnome. Come Skelly and He-Man are still fighting God Lyn, and I'm wondering why she isn't dead already, when even their normal states could put hands on her. But suddenly that celestial apex thing Skeletor was waiting for happens, and she gets the dumbass power-up invented for this show, and she takes all that power without sword as a conduit? Skeletor even points this plot hole out, but then Tila appears in what I can only describe as her worst sorceress design yet. Yes, worse than the towel one. She starts fighting the double god Lyn, and due to all logic should immediately die, considering what we've seen of sorcerers in this show. Only reasons I can think of why this is happening is because this is Tila show, and only women are allowed to beat other women, like back in old Hollywood movies. Like fucking triple team her, she's like dumbass levels of strength now. Get everybody! Use Orb of Power, the Council of Elders, Ultimate Battleground, the military, the navy, assemble Avengers, Shinsengumi, everybody! Dumb cunt Castle Grayskull man. No, instead, animation style changes so noticeably that I became cognizant enough to see the writing for the sludgy this, and Skelly decides to attack He-Man, because why the f not at this point? His words, not mine. Instead, He-Man decides to forget that guy and fight Mooks outside, so the trailers will have clips of him fighting. I don't get it, why is God Lyn so shitty? She can't even take down sorcerers despite her base being able to. Why? It doesn't make any sense. Finally the dumbass fight ends in a really dumbass way, with God Lyn shackling Tila instead of killing her, so she can do the thing she could have done from get-go with her most recent power-up, kill the everything, till Tila shows her a vision, or past or something, of how Goddess's death actually led to the birth of all life and everything else that's not chaos, death and misery, and God Lyn buys it all, and is shocked, declaring that universe is magic, instantly giving up her powers in shame. Just like that. End me. Oh, you wanna know how Tila found out about this truth? By becoming the sorceress, which Lyn did too. Exceptional writing. There's some bullshit about universe not showing truth to Lyn because it only shows what people believe in or something, which is even worse, as that would imply that Tila's vision isn't true either, but her warped perception of the truth. Toxic positivity saves the universe. Interestingly, she didn't believe universe to be magical earlier, but it's still going. Skelly monologues how I think you and I are destined to do this forever. But He-Man cringes at his forced parallel, since Joker would never job to E-Thought like modern Harley Quinn and lays that bum out with one punch. So why'd he lose the power from that? We've established like 3 times already that it must be done willingly. He-Man and Tila then magic away all the underworld people, including Orko. But evil Lyn, now good Lyn, holds him back, which is stronger than Pull of Afterlife, I guess, and it finally fucking ends. Except evil Lyn is fucking forgiven and forgotten by everyone? No, it's impossible. She's a villain. She tried to kill everyone. She killed the afterlife. No heaven for anyone ever. That doesn't exist. Not even for one of them. She shouldn't or can't be forgiven for that. Not in a world where our characters have killed and punished for less. She can't be. The law forbids it. God forbids it. Allah forbids it. Buddha fucking forbids it. No, and bag of fucking no. What happened? She's not redeemed in any way. She did nothing to deserve this. She just stopped her mad quest. She should be killed, at least imprisoned for all she did.
But Mario, Nick, you've given free pass to other villain redemption arcs in the past.
Yeah, because those, unlike this show, didn't skip, the arc part. Even the most evil assholes made sure to sacrifice themselves to atone because they at least had the sense to know that they could never live and go free. Like, what the f does she get a pardon for? We even cut to Barbie Pixieland where she lays her staff to rest, ready to start new life, and f off! Even if the heroes forgave her, the everyday middle-class Eternians with even a modicum of self-respect would not. Imagine if one day a guy appeared in front of everyone in the world and gave you the absolute proof that heaven existed, and then proceeds to blow it the f up. Wherever she'll go, she'll be recognized and sent to Subternia for her crimes. That's what would happen. We hope you enjoyed No Moral Theater. I mean, yeah, lay off of her. Everyone makes mistakes. Some mistakes are just punishable by law. Don't know what law says about mass murder of innocents and denial of afterlife, but here we are. Can't imagine Skeletor receiving the same treatment. Equal rights when? Fuck it, everyone returns to Eternos. Andra becomes Man-at-Arms because she lasered people so good. All families make up. The evergreen forest's weed production is back online, and Adam and Tila share a tender moment about how there will never be any more secrets. Which is almost like putting a giant neon light sign over Eternos and saying, "Hey Skeletor, come and kill us in our sleep now that you know who holds the sword."
After all this time, I finally know who He-Man really is.
Yes, you do. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia, and
my hero.
Aww, too little too late. At this point I was like, damn, I'll be impressed if they don't end the story with a post-credits scene baiting next project like is the fashion of the times now.
I'll do it myself.
So hey, I guess I had some expectations all along. And of course, they fucking failed me again.
What are you doing?
It can't be.
Like, no way you're continuing after doing the biggest master stakes that a singular iteration can do. Are the Horde gonna steal the power too? They have their own opposite sorcerers and orb of power and crap, go away. And after all this madness, all that world-ending stupidness, it just stops. All things considered, the ending is a lot happier than expected. It's still a shit ending, but judging from how things majorly shifted in the beginning, I was sure that Eternia would never be the same. Like, they'll at least break Skeletor's no getting killed streak, or get rid of He-Man's powers. But no, Randor and Marlene are back together, Adam is back, Orko is back, Skelly is back, and power is back in Grayskull. The genie crawls back into the bottle, more or less, making us wonder if last 10 episodes were just filler. Well, not exactly, as their stupid heaven concept is off the table. Whatever. Evelyn does not work for Skelly anymore. Sorceress is dead like in every other continuity, and Tila has become new Sorceress. Bunch of useless characters are dead, and Skeletor gets shat on for the millionth time. The writing is so shoddily done, like there are these ideas and things that are just thrown on screen, either forgotten or set up plot lines that never happened. Most of the big plot moving things are weirdly executed, to say the least, like what was Adam's and Tila's plan for Sorceress to do exactly? To depower Lyn? She wasn't the Sorceress that was used to bestow the power to her in the first place, so would that even work? It's just awful. Everything's awful. And I stand by what I said. All of this had potential. It would be one of the easiest rewrites I'd ever have to do for anything in recent memory. The only reason I'm not giving this filth the treatment I gave for Sonic Forces is because I don't find the idea of rewriting disconnected master story with a climax and theme so similar to other stuff not particularly unique or entertaining. The potential for good story is there, and there are some elements we've never seen before, but I just don't care enough. So, all in all, this show just kinda happened. It's basically just DC's Eternity War stripped of nuance, build up most major factions in it, the most awesome moments, and we won't probably even remember it after a while. Well, then again, there is this one element of bad reboots that people that love the original tend to remember always. And I might just have a tiny little segment all about that. Let's hear what our next section has to say. Kevin Smith, since failing to ruin Superman in 90s with terrible live-action adaptation, decided to take a crack at his counterpart, though we all know that He-Man has more in common with Shazam than Man of Steel. The thing many fans fixated on in regards of the portrayal of the characters has its basis on one simple concept. These shitty-ass characters you're writing and portraying poorly are still supposed to represent the idea of the original beloved 80s icons they are based on. It might be a new setting, but they still should adhere to the idea of the originals. Ideas that are utterly squandered, most notably in cases of Teela, Evelyn, Skeletor, and the way Adam's secret identity is portrayed, among others. Like, what the fuck is this? It shouldn't be that hard to stay at least little bit faithful to the OGs, let alone internally consistent in your own story. Because yes, as I've pointed out to exhaustion by now, it's not that I don't want the new, even if new was same as the old. It's just that the new sucks Spycore's balls. If the original had done these things, I'd hate that too. Let's start with the biggest offender, Teela. Oh my sweet goddess, what have they done to you? Consistently, Teela has been portrayed as intelligent and compassionate, yet sometimes strongly competitive. And when it comes to her job, she has no nonsense attitude, something that causes her to constantly give shit to Adam for his seemingly nonchalant behavior. This has always been rooted on her care for him and others, wanting him to take his duties more seriously and improve as person. She's not callous, only harsh. In this show, however, she's arrogant, short-sighted, and quite a snowflake, always focusing on how actions of others affect her, blind to the bigger picture. At least, I think the show is trying to portray that. It's hard to tell seeing how jumbled and inconsistent Teela is written in this crap. Take for instance, her finding out that Sorceress is her mother. This secret could be argued to be more personal and harmful to her than Adam's, yet she doesn't have a similar breakdown about it. Sorceress is also a weird concept here, like her leaving her family is framed like Man-at-Arms will be a single dad, while his wife goes off to explore herself and the world. Like, what? She's doing her fucking duty. Duty being cursed has always been quite a theme in Masters of the Universe works, as we'll soon discuss. Naturally, she dies. However, this time she doesn't just further Teela's story, but also saves the people she cared about, and I'm okay with her going out like that. If only the show could have handled other characters' deaths with such grace. Getting back to Teela. The worst part about her asinine behavior is that the show tries to imply that she's right. Brandor validates her, others seek her forgiveness, she never admits that she's wrong. Even if she half-heartedly does, she's still given okay to be angry. Of course, because she's female, people use this fact to deflect criticism of her character, like if gender would be a factor when assessing if someone is acting like an asshat. Listen, you all bastards, it doesn't matter what reproductive organ the main character has, fungus organ, fern organ, or a pipe organ, or any number of things. It matters that Teela has been made into unbearably self-centered asshole. Oh wow, it's about my pain. Shut the f*** up, we have universe to save. Can you think of someone other than yourself for once in your life? You have the audacity to say you got lied to when fate of everything is at stake, doubled with Adam and others having damned good reasons to keep their secrets. If Adam was the main character and he was complaining and bitching about stuff like Teela is, it would suck no matter if he's male or female. Like, imagine if he was, no, I don't wanna be He-Man, my personal life. Remember how the 80s cartoon had that one episode where feminazis were enslaving all men, and how it preached how both genders are needed and one should not put the other down to look good? That was surprisingly poignant. I'ma be contrarian for a bit. This series, being a Teela show, had crazy potential. No, seriously, post-He-Man Eternia was and still is a good idea on paper, but it too was dosed on idiot goo by Kevin. If the changes to the characters and status quo were in any way sensible and interesting, we could have had stories with her being the lead, Teela going through Eternia and seeing how different masters are trying to keep it all together, acting as our eyes to different factions reflecting on what the loss of their greatest champions meant. But no, the writers were too busy filling their pockets with money and their noses with coke to sit down and and think for 10 minutes how to do it tastefully. The second offender might be just as bad, or even worse. That of course being the annoying mess that Evelyn has become in this series. It seems that her story is meant to be clear emancipation, god I hate that word, from abusive relationship with Skeletor. But when the show started we got no indication of that. She even called him her best friend, only to flip-flop on how he sucks, then saying she's over him, only to fall for him again without any manipulation. Only for Skeletor being his usual self being the tipping point. But then the show kinda builds this whole nihilism angle around her, which, as we talked about, fits into the plot about as well as Pickaxe into Nostril. And it all ends with her inheriting the world via bullshit writing and getting away with it. Like, what is this? They obviously wanted to make her more of Harley Quinn type of character, but those that think they are comparable don't get the character. Evelyn's not victim, she hates Skeletor's guts and wants to backstab him in every incarnation. She's always had her own ambitions. This is well portrayed in 2000s series. Those acts of rebellion were brought up by her loving Keldor, this legit charismatic prince character, who then after becoming Skeletor didn't have any need to pretend that he was human any longer, so he just changed into complete monster, which made her resent him. She always desired an image, but was betrayed by reality. Oh, for all the newbies out there, there's two kinds of Skeletors in Masters. Demon from another planet, which 80s and Revelation are, and former human and brother of King Grander like 2000 and DC have. F*** off if you didn't know that already. Anyway, my point was that in this show, I don't even know why Lyn fell for Skeletor in the first place, seeing that he's always been the same dickhead here. Lyn sure talks about him being cool for mentoring her, but she killed her last mentor for less. She's so inconsistent in all aspects, and why other characters constantly give her pass only makes her look like even bigger contrivance. It was the same when that f***ing DreamWorks She-Ra had people forgiving and hanging out with Shadow Weaver and redeem Catra at the end because they only did evil, horrible things because of abuse they suffered, despite the abuser Hordak being another abuse victim in that show. But nah, he's a man, so f*** him. Yeah, some people just seemingly don't get villains. Like, evil, twisted people can have understandable motives. Even sympathetic ones. But regardless, it doesn't change the fact that they did awful stuff. Like, why would it? Speaking of irredeemable pieces of shit, my god, my favorite one suffered a blow here. Skeletor finally wins and keeps winning, but then is undone by Big Boner and done away like f***ing waste of time in the end. That. Skeletor was always true Sigma Bones. Only thing that guy f***s is power, and you all know it. But hey, it gets better. In those prequel comics no one read, he literally has Megatron's backstory. What the fuck? Turns out he was great gladiator hero to his people who made enemies who killed his family. And he vowed to bring them back. So the evil horde that kinda showed up one day took him in, and Hordak told him about how magic would be the answer. What? Show sure says he's pure evil, but at the same time thinks that's not good enough somehow and wants to give him death? I guess? If so, what an epic fail. This is literally at odds with his character in the show, and all other media? The misguided attempt at death this weak-ass origin tried to give him also creates a new plot hole. If God mode Skeletor has the power of life and death, why not resurrect his waifu's Lifu right away? Instead, he never even mentions his family. Insert segue here, let's finally talk about He-Man and Prince Adam. Surprisingly, he hasn't been f***ed with to the extent the others are, and there are many moments where his self-sacrificial, heroic nature is in full display. Something the show and the characters only throw stones at him for. Duty is curse. It's something you have to do whether you like it or not. Heroes embrace it, bettering everyone's lives in exchange of their own, while villains run from it. I get it, heroes don't need to be acknowledged, and Adam has hardly ever cared if he is given gratitude for doing what's right. But the story frames his actions like they hardly matter and focuses on his borderline irrelevant secret identity instead in face of his death. I can count only 2 tiny instances where anyone gives him any credit, but they refer to something completely different than him figuratively and literally giving up his life for entirety of Eternia. Instead, Duncan and Randor give him thumbs up because he knows not to let the godlike powers he has go to his head. Oh yeah, the f***ing secret identity thing. My best fate interpretation currently is that Tila is huge control freak and her brain broke when she found out about something she didn't know about, explaining her reaction. Mental illness there. But yes, it's somehow positive that the only smudge this show could point out from our former main hero was that in the era where cynicism and post-heroism forces every beloved old lead to be deconstructed for the problematic white males they are, was that he lied for greater good and had superhero secret identity. I'll take my hope wherever I can find it. And in the end, after all the crap he sacrificed, what does he get? Nothing. Better yet, the guy gave up his afterlife and no one cares. He's forever trapped by that decision now. If anyone ever deserved heaven, it was him. Never a prison. And then there's all the minor characters who are just dumb props or have some little thing wrong with them. Orko is a total loser that becomes not so loser because plot. Him sucking on his home planet to sucking on Eternia and then becoming great after a suicide kinda gives a different vibe than 80s cartoon, doesn't it? Randor is made to look like total jerkwad even in his redeeming moments. Beastman seems so hard that Disney could honestly hire him. Many evil warriors hardly have characters. Good guys outside the main cast like Fisto are so one note that it's not even funny, and others are relegated to cameos. No wonder I felt nothing with all these guys dying. Well, I felt empty, as these f***s were supposed to be characters I cared about. I forgot Roboto died in this show, and I love that guy. But don't worry, even inanimate objects can be assassinated. Remember Grayskull, that epic fortress of mystery? Yeah, it's so cool that it's size of 2 rooms in this show. Take the stairs in entrance hall to reach the grand prize. Wow, truly epic D&D board. Previously we had maze of traps and infinite corridors. I don't think the building's relevant after episode 1, which is saying a lot. As side note, they were really harsh on the place's king too. Like Grayskull is black now, alright, let's make the Barbarian King black, sure. But they obviously did that because they didn't have the balls to raise meant He-Man, which actually creates a problem with Adam's He-Man form, as it's supposed to make him into Grayskull's likeness. It's his power he's calling for after all, so why isn't He-Man black in the show too? Granted, this is something that people have gotten wrong since 2000s introduced the idea, as after that show the power doesn't originate from him anymore, but whatever. Also, the guy feared death? This is actually not emasculating this character, but skull-f***ing him, since the original point of the character was that he wasn't randomly given this omnipotent might, like here seemingly. It was because his innate qualities, like wisdom, kindness and courage. In 2000s continuity, there's literally a line where upon learning that he's gonna die if he fights the invading horde, he says that he doesn't fear his end if Eternia can live in peace. Based. Also, I'd like to mention that in prequel comics, Scarecrow called Grayskull fearless, so... Anyway, after going over all this shit, I don't think these assassinations were done out of malice. I genuinely believe that the show tried to do right, at least by Tila. Give her and Lynn arcs that were positive, but executives executed their ideas so clumsily that it seems malicious. And who in the end is the one most responsible? Well, we don't know if it was higher studio mandate or negligence that allowed these events to come to pass, but I think we can safely say that most of this excrement came from the chief writer slash producer slash son of a god, whatever he calls himself. Isn't it obvious? Reading from the papers and between the lines, and more importantly, listening to the guy actually writing the script, it's our wonderful Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith. More like Kevin shit! Not good.
And I was like, yeah, but all these people are mad. They were like, yes, it looks like about 5,000 to 10,000 people have written nasty things. And they were like, but we have 210 million subscribers.
Just like the Nazis. Kevin is the likely suspect here. He's infamous for being a professional devaluer of characters, especially female ones, in misguided effort to deepen them. Look, obviously it's not the fault of just one guy. While he may be responsible for bringing forth most of this insane excrement, the fact is that everyone who worked on Revelation, no matter how small part they played, are to blame for the final product. Kevin is simply the easiest to blame. If you want to be the face of the thing and talk about it with the biggest, loudest, most obnoxious voice, yeah, prepare for people treating you like that. Let's move on. There's still a hole left to dig, and it is the worst sin this show committed.
Marketing!
To summarize,
What a load of bullshit.
I was promised heavy metal and Masters of the Universe. Where's my swinging milk teeth and the growling music? Also, it straight up isn't continuation of 80s Filmation universe, like advertised. F***ing liars. Like, when the promotional stuff was coming out, they must have desperately wanted to cash in on 80s nostalgia, so much in fact that they forgot to set this into the same continuity, despite saying that it would be. As I've already explored, here we have what we over at Crime Lab refer to as orgy of evidence, all pointing out how Revelation is yet another Master's continuity, a reboot if you will. Most of these are not small details like design discrepancies, but actual characterization, cosmology, established plot details, and lore that's fundamentally incompatible. Like, no, Grayskull is not Hall of Wisdom, Man-at-Arms is not Teal's biological dad, and the origins of Sword of Power and Saucers are 100% not how they happened in 80s cartoon. Like, some of these feel like they went out of their way to create these discrepancies. Why would anyone do that if they so clearly wanted to associate themselves with Filmation cartoon? Not that I need to prove anything. Even Kevin caved in and eventually admitted that Revelation wasn't part of Filmation universe. Moving on, the next big thing this show was marketed as was the return of beloved icon, He-Man, after 40 years. Not true, we've had many iterations since then, and what the f*** did they opt to do? Sideline the f*** out of the man they used in all of their promotional art and said was gonna be the star of the show. The fact that He-Man gets almost no screen time in his own cartoon was actually one of those facts that got leaked beforehand. And to quell the fan uproar, Kevin himself responded, insisting that no, He-Man was not gonna be sidelined, which has turned out to be an objective, bold-faced lie. But hey, gotta keep up those appearances as money-grabbing frauds, am I right? This leads to the strange narrative this show seems to have about He-Man at parts. There's even a scene where the man himself says that the show isn't about him, nor Skeletor. But someone so humble is obviously fucking wrong. It has always been about battle of good versus evil, concepts that are embodied by the two. We've literally had stories of Adam doubting if He-Man is needed, when we have plenty of warriors for good that have proven that he's integral, both as a symbol and as a person. Courage of Adam and Lifetime to name a few. Not to mention how Skeletor is a constant across the verse, that never truly dies, symbolizing how there's always more evil to defend against. The struggle might be bigger than the both of them, but they've always been at its center. Many would like to argue that the marketing was already giving the twist away. It's last battle after all, the two are probably not surviving. Either way, you shouldn't go around claiming they are the focus, but they kinda left out another important fact. You know, the time skip. Before this f***ing image was released, we had only seen pictures of quote-unquote appropriately designed Teela, He-Man and others, till this monstrosity was dropped on us. Immediately people knew something was up. Wait, he said Teela won't be the main character, but it's after the final battle and Sword of Power goes missing, so... oh no... Now it was obvious why they only released images of the first episode, one with all the stuff you wanted, while the rest of the show was kept hidden carefully. These mind games continued in the trailer, where they constructed dialogue and visuals as to not clue us in to the fact that there'd be little to no He-Man in the show, but it wouldn't be long till final product was out. And Kevin's true intentions were, revealed. What a masturbator this man was. This has gotta be the biggest f***ing scam right behind Evertale's ads. Usually false marketing is punishable by law, but I digress. The trailer for the second season I was not interested in the slightest, but watched it anyways, and not gonna lie, a tiny spark of excitement was lit up again. A feeble spark, since I knew it was probably more false marketing. I mean, what's stopping you guys from lying to my face again? The trailer promised us that Skeletor and He-Man would finally be the main players. Honest, I mean, Lyn was barely in it. And what did we get exactly? Maybe they thought that this time the audience would look past their blatant lies and turn off their brains to see the show for the true art that it is. F*** that. Lies are lies, and if you keep telling the same lies over and over again, it won't become the truth. That's just delaying the inevitable. This should be more true than ever before in the age of information, where the truth is accessible to those who truly seek it. And even if people like those aren't enough, in the end, the time will come when even the regular masses will get tired of the lies. The face of the people who've cried wolf one times too many will eventually be revealed. Fight and call out misinformation whenever you recognize it. It's the least a consumer that buys this sewage can do. But unfortunately, getting called out is never where it ends.
Review bombing.
Suck on f***ing cactus. I wonder, do you people even feel tiny particle of guilt after pulling this crap on your fans?
Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud.
To give in to one's passions is easy. Doing what's sensible is a mark of a true writer. Though, I must say, false marketing is a norm for modern media. These are the false prophets of our time. This video is titled Not Impressed, because when I realized that the rumors were true, I couldn't be disappointed anymore. That's all I have to say about that. Also, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the prequel comics and didn't know where else to put them, but what else are they but another shitty marketing tool? It's weird how inconsistent these comics are, like brah, same writers. You'd think they could keep their shit together, but no. Some characters have designs straight up ripped from 2002 or Classics continuity, like if this was fan comic where people only bothered to draw new designs for main cast and went it on the rest. Not to mention how some events literally contradict the actual show. I already talked about Skeletor, but there are things like Orlax can't be killed even by power of Grayskull, yet in the comics the sword was made to specifically kill it. Nice one. There's this weird bit with Evil Loon that seems to suggest she knows He-Man's secret identity. What? If so, she's even dumber than the show that's on. And our heroes see the Orb of Power first time in the show, despite seeing it in the comic. Teela randomly takes interest on Sorceress's uselessness and He-Man's identity, which leads to nowhere. She goes on random tirade, reflective of what an outside observer like Kevin would see in Master's world, and is not reflective of how characters in the said world would choose to act at this point in time. In 2002, questioning He-Man's identity was naturally the first thing everyone did. Not years after they all had fought by his side and learned to trust him after he saved them time and time again. Man-at-Arms has this nice bit where he explains to Teela why He-Man/Adam's identity being secret does not f***ing matter, so she naturally does what any redhead does and misses the mark phenomenally. By the way, Grayskull has two sons, Hero being one of them, and the other one is named Dare, aka Teela's and Adam's kid in 80s and Classics continuities, which is super insulting. Or maybe I shouldn't be expecting everything to be a reference. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe Kevin was just a huge fan of the OG Transformers movie OST. It all ends with Skeletor realizing that Grayskull is important and had the power in it, something he already knew. I don't get it. They're so mediocre too, like they should be called Masters of the Universe. No relevance. Just very meandering, holier than thou text full of bloat and pointless things. Also, it promotes this idea that nobody is born evil, which, yeah, kinda was a thing in the show, though Skelly contradicts this notion, making me wonder if these things exist only to him to fit this dumb message. But then the message just boils down to, everyone has a reason to be evil. What then? Look, it's not saying anything about it. What? What do you care? Stop caring, it's gay that you care. Is that all? I mean, sure. What a cosmic joke. I certainly haven't felt this on bottom since the last time Sony gave me a copyright strike. I'd move heaven and earth to just rid myself of the colossal disappointment and waste of talent that Masters of the Revelation is. The sheer amount of missed opportunities, assassinated characters, and fundamental misunderstandings of storytelling, not to mention basic moral principles, astonishes me. Seriously, what is it with media these days, turning in garbage after garbage and expecting consumers to just lap it all up? The treatment of the characters and then middle fingering the audience away when they respond appropriately has become industry standard, and I honestly have no clue if this will ever stop. The reason as to why I don't consider this one to stand among pillars of shit on the screen currently is simply because it's nowhere near as damaging as other similar universe-ruining subversive character assassinating cash grabs seen in recent years. It's not connected to any prior Masters of the Universe work, however much we were lied about it. It's kinda this one shitty thing over there. The damage is localized to its own shitty universe. If it was heavily connected, I might be singing a different tune, but it's not. What I'm saying is that it's not as bad as it could have been, I guess. Also, no, I don't want 80s sequel, you either ruin or contradict it. To its credit, this show technically does not fall as deep and double down as much on politics and other SJW ideas that fuel these kinds of quasi-soulless modern reboots as many others of its kind do. Sure, He-Man is sidelined, but they never direct attention on him being problematic. They only talk about things around him, like secret identity. They don't demasculate or kill him forever. They don't rub ideas on your face too much, like hot damn. They never even said that this show will be stunning and bold and with first-time female lead. Only 2 characters are race-bended, one who nobody gives a fuck about, and one they clearly did because they didn't have balls to do the more popular version of the character. 10 out of 10, not total woke garbage, would bang. But let's take off our adaptation classes for a second and judge it on its own merit, separate from all prior Masters media. As long as it tells a good story on its own, it can be forgiven its transgressions. Take for instance, first Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Characters and the plot presented in it have only barest of resemblance to their source material. Yet despite this, the film managed to be entertaining little flick on its own merits. So it can be done. And yes, even if this is not direct remake or a reboot, it still deserves to be compared to preceding media. Thanks for asking! If you fucking want the humongous boost your content gets by taking on the name, setting and general idea of a popular piece of work, you must accept that you will be compared to that piece of work. You are stealing from an already created thing, so people will naturally compare it to the original they already had a developed image of beforehand. Either create something new or don't just assume old fans come back running after hearing, "Hey, that thing you liked is getting remade, come and see," and not say if it measures up to original they liked so much. How dare you stand where he stood? Even if he just criticized this as a thing separate from Masters of the Universe, I might have actually been harsher, seeing as to how a lot of this is reference porn that had no story substance. Fucking pig boy. As I said before, Scott Maitlick, a hardcore Masters creator, a controversial figure on his own right, has gone on record to say it doesn't matter that Revelation is what it is and breaks characters and rules, since it's just another universe in Grand He-Man multiverse. So who cares if it's shit? Yeah, real great writing advice. You can make whatever the crap you want and attach it to original as long as it's self-contained. Thanks, like fucking arigato, man. That argument is from hell. I don't want to hear it. Best argument against this line of thinking is, why not make it good as well? It's not that hard. Just remember, dear viewers, the label of multiverse, while a beautiful thing, allowing creative new interpretations and endless possibilities, can also dilute a brand. He-Man and many others have had quite many versions over the years, and not all of it's good. The value of original stories changes the more there is others of its kind to compare to. Reception was not kind. And what did our dear, wonderful Kevin Smith have to say for himself after this show was out and over? What does he do with the criticism he received for this garbage fest?
Review bombing.
Kevin still thinks he has the fucking right to cry about how he's unappreciated genius, and then Malcolm Ingram posts to him about how he did good. People talk about the show, who cares if it's garbage and has lifespan of few years max and only serves to further damage the brand or integrity of reboots and storytellers everywhere in general. Yeah, nothing's perfect. I mean, Ace Attorney's soundtrack comes pretty darn close, but hey, we succeeded! Negatively. We are infamous. Yeah, what a bloody heroin addict. Though 'tis too typical for today's media. This shit made me die 100 deaths alone. Have some dignity, man. I'm genuinely ashamed for you. Makes you wonder. Kevin, pal, what even... God damn it, man. You used to be cool. Well, now that I got a second to calm down and think about it, no, not really. But he used to be into sexy shit. They say that Masters has been hijacked by an egotistical writer who didn't care for the franchise he was writing for, which, funny enough, has happened before, but I'm not sure. Well, the egotistical part checks out. Honestly, something could have come out of this if writing room hadn't suffered from such a lack of focus. Or maybe they were too focused on one thing. I don't know, I wasn't there. I think that Kevin and everybody genuinely thought that what they were doing was the best shit ever, but people have different responses to media, however irrational they may be. They might have looked at Master's mythology, loved every minute of it, and came out with subjective answer on what the series needs. It seems so right, but might be completely incongruent with objective reality. Like I've said, elements are there, the problem is execution. Clearly, some love went into this, and I'm sure at least some of them are fans of Master's verse, judging by all the semi-obscure references, but this just goes to show you passion, or lack thereof, is never a substitute for talent. What I'm trying to say is, people who made this clearly had love, but not respect. Those two are different things. They wanted to make this story out of love for the brand, but didn't stop to think ramifications of the things they were portraying for the characters and world building in objective sense. My god, Ian Malcolm was right. For what it's worth, I do think that most of the current gen responsible for stewarding old respected properties of 80s and 90s haven't quite figured out that sort of Damocles metaphor yet. But the way I see it, Scott Natelic should be more deserving of stigma of the most hated Masters creator. He's the one who made classics line collectors only and ruined figure collecting as a hobby for everyone. Kick his ass instead. Before there wasn't any bad Masters media. He-Man media. What? No, that's fun. I'll take Campbell Lane as Skeletor over Mark Sorethroat over here any day. Well, that one's kinda debatable.
Also, the She-Ra show is only bad because it's supposed to be She-Ra. Otherwise, oh well, it's not good then either.
Again, one of my favorite things goes to shit, but I still forgive you. I've chosen to love you, but I will call you out for being shit. Ain't even worst asspull Netflix has on their service. Well, at least there won't be any more, right? And I fall to my knees and start praying for a meteor large enough to just end it all. So, this is the end of the video. I didn't do it to send a message. I'm not here to improve society. I seriously don't think me bitching into my microphone is actually gonna change anything. I'm just calling a square when I fucking see one. Anyways guys, if you're unsatisfied with this continuation to 80s, just watch 2002 Reboot. It's great a show you've never seen unless you're allergic to color yellow. Please watch it if you're a fan of He-Man. It's the best version of the franchise aside from ending without third season. But for that, just read DC Comics run on the series. If there's something good that's come out of this show, it made me read and re-evaluate DC twice over, and they're seriously very solid. This certainly isn't revelation.
このひなみ沢にもう興味はない。次のひなみ沢を探しに行くことにするわ。